Welcome to World Class Bullshitters, the epitome of pop culture. I'm your host, Jeff Hicks, and with me tonight is the one, the only, Dion Green.
Baby, boys and girls, children of all ages, do not touch that dial, don't adjust the volume. What you hear is true. The man with the plan, the original tan, the man with the face that has all the charm, the man that does all the harm, and the man himself with the strongest left arm for you know what? Dion Green.
You know, Dion, it's weird being live on a Tuesday night. I almost feel like we're on the High Council. Yes, folks.
Boom.
That was a really weird way of saying submit to the High Council. So I introduced myself. Dion of World Class Bullshitters is here. And with us tonight is the man, the myth, the maker of the trebuchet, Triple XL, Uncle E himself, Ethan Van Sciver.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? That was a great intro. I love it, man. I love it when World Class takes over the High Council. It's badass.
Which part?
Hi, everyone. Ethan Van Sciver. Good to be here.
And with us tonight is the man of 1,001 videos coming at you, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers.
What's up, world-class bullshitters? It's Jeremy, and I'm apologizing in advance for my avatar because everybody's going to be like, why has he got that sports bullshit on there? I forgot to change it back. I already see people asking where I'm at. I'm here. So thank you for letting me join once again, fellas. Great to be here.
And finally, our most requested guest. He's here in the flesh, well, via the internet, Pat from Please Rewind.
I feel like I'm on that show, Are You Afraid of the Dark, where the kids throw the sand into the fire and have to submit stories, and I have to tell you shitty stories about Kathleen Kennedy, like a horror thing. So I'm ready. I've been prepping for this since 1996.
Do you know what they actually threw into the sand? Or into the fire?
I read it years ago. I can't remember.
It's non-dairy coffee creamer. That shit's flammable.
I'm glad I have some of that with me then. We're good.
If you ever get bored, just throw some in a fire and see what happens. So, folks, we're back with the High Council on World Class Bullshitters. On Friday night, we did our drunk watch party for Star Wars The Last Jedi. And just a heads up, we're going to have another one on Geeks and Gamers this week for Star Wars The Force Awakens. So, Jeremy, are you ready to subject yourself to more torture?
I've heard left and right. Everybody is waiting for you to roast my ass for 2.5 hours. So I'm ready. Bring it on. I'm prepared for everyone.
Why would people roast you? I mean, the few minutes that I've talked to you, you seem very pleasant. Is there something about your choice in film that would require someone to bring you back down?
Oh, absolutely. Jeff and I had a really good back and forth about The Force Awakens last week. So it's going to be a lot of fun because I was a defender of The Force Awakens.
Past tense.
Yeah. The Last Jedi got me to the point where I didn't even ever want to watch the movie again. But we're going to do it for the community, and I get to retroactively watch it and probably realize the error of my ways. But we shall see.
Okay.
It's going to be fun. I swear I'd never watch it again. But since you watched The Last Jedi with me, I will watch The Force Awakens with you. And Ethan, whenever you're prepared to do the Star Wars Holiday Special,
that'll be directly
to support you.
Yeah, that's going to be the next Friday after. Well, wait a second. Well, we'll figure it out. We're going to do the Holiday Special. We need to see those Wookiees.
Mala, Lumpy, and Itchy.
Yeah.
So, guys, it's been a pretty... I don't want to say it's been a light week. There's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes here on the High Council. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the world of Star Wars that hasn't been getting the traction. But I'd like to take a moment to talk to our guest, Pat from Please Rewind, and tell the listeners how you got into the fight that is Star Wars The Last Jedi's, cesspool of hatred from them, Lucasfilm.
Cool. Well, basically, I did movie reviews like a typical review channel and video essays, and I was a pretty... I started as a political channel. I used to be the Patriarchy, and that's where Pat came from, but that was a long time ago. But I did movie reviews for a long time, and then Last Jedi came out, and I did a video called Why Rose Doesn't Work, where I broke down Rose Tico's character and how shitty she is, and that got 300,000 views, and I was like, oh, wow, this worked. So I did about 6 of those for different parts of Last Jedi, some live streams on it, some box office shows, and I kind of left it for a long time, but every time I do a Star Wars video, it does very well, and I became a fan of all of you, hearing you pretty much, it was kind of catharsis hearing you guys talk about the film and how insulting it was, and breaking down the people who were defending it and its subversion and its meta aspects, and Rian Johnson being some kind of genius that he isn't. It was nice to hear people all felt the way I did. because it had like 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I thought I was like retarded or something. Like I missed something. I was like, well, critics are saying it's good, so maybe I'm missing something. But I think we've been winning the war since that movie came out, very, very much so. And I was thinking about something though the other day. I just want to ask you guys about this. I don't know. You know how the light speed thing with hold the door when she does it, that kind of changes Star Wars. Now I was thinking now that they've established that people have sex with their droids, that also changes the Star Wars universe. So does that mean that when Anakin built C-3PO for his mother, was that what he built her for? Was that the?
Are you, sir? Let me just.
It's a pleasure droid for mom.
Are you?
You know?
Are you insinuating that C-3PO began as a sentient dildo? Is that what you're going at?
I'm telling you, it's just that, you know, because I say in one of my videos, Poe, these new films are sexless, and Poe wants to fuck BB-8 more than anyone else.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
There.
There are a lot of things in this world that I will stand for. What I will not stand for, sir, even if it is the gay droid and one of the greatest franchises of all time, I will not stand for you insinuating that C-3PO, the 397th coolest droid in the galaxy, is a walking, talking dildo, sir. I will not have it.
I just thought about. I don't know. That changes things. So I've been
You
going through my head.
apologize for that.
I'm sorry. I know. We don't want to put C-3PO in that light. Like, why did he lose his arm? The red arm.
Guys, I think that was a valid point. I think that was a valid question. I won't have you
the other
silenced
arm
over that. I think that
the
is
other arm
perfect.
he had.
Yeah, well,
He lost
listen.
it fingering a chick or something. It broke off.
Oh,
That's why it was red arm. It was covered in
Could
red.
you-
It was her period.
oh.
Could you imagine, like,
Lost
walking
me.
in on your mom, or just walking in on any female who's ever walked the face of the earth, and a fucking bare bones droid is like at the foot of the bed with no expression, super wide eyes, and it's just going, "Oh, do you like that? Do you like that, madam? Yes. Yes.
What did
I
we
like
turn
it.
into?
Do you like that? That'd be fucked up.
These are
I'd
the
have
things I
nightmares.
think about. This is why I don't get. That's why I didn't get into a good school.
That's why. Yep.
But
So
that's it, pretty much. Yeah, that's all. That's all I have to say. That took 6 months to come up with, so I'm done.
I'm here, chat. I see you asking. I'm here. I apologize for the avatar. I'm getting roasted again for my sports avatar. I'm here, just so you know.
You know, for a guy that has a large audience on YouTube, they just seem to hate you so much.
I know it. They like
Well,
that.
goddamn, I don't-
I'm trying to get to that Ethan level of roasting. I'm nowhere near that though. I'm trying. I'm trying. But I only wear a large shirt, so
What is Ethan, a circus tent or some shit like that?
look, Ethan. And by the way, that check bounced. I told everybody that I gave you an XL, so that check bounced for me saying that. So you need to make sure that gets corrected, or I'm gonna tell everybody how big of a shirt I had to give you. So
God, this is all an outrage. Listen, first of all, my fans roast me out of love. Your fans roast you because you love the fucking Force Awakens. You deserve to be roasted for real. And I don't wear a circus tent, but it's an XL. You know that.
don't make
lie
me bring
now.
up your Venom
Don't
video,
lie
okay?
just to get popular
Don't-
with the crowd. That's not going to help you. It's not going to fix what you did last week over the Force Awakens. Selling me out and saying that I wear a circus tent for a T-shirt isn't going to save you now. Come out and argued with the man, world-class bullshitters, defending the Force Awakens.
Not
You
only
spent
that,
30 minutes defending the Force Awakens on the last High Council. Where do you think you are, son? Where do you think you are? You think you're on making Star Wars? You ain't on making Star Wars. This is the fucking High Council. We
This
can't
ain't Collider.
stand Disney Star Wars. You can't get these crowd. You can't get this crowd to get on your side in that way. Now you apologize to everyone for what you said about the Force Awakens.
I
We can't- we
apologize.
can't-
I apologize that Ethan doesn't understand that I'm talking about data and not opinions. That's what
Here
I
we go.
data.
Here we go.
Data.
Go.
So nobody understood what I was saying.
The
Just like they
data is-
didn't. Just like they didn't understand you on your Venom video where you got destroyed on the downvotes. They just didn't understand. That's what's going on with
And
me.
by the way, that's one of those things that history will redeem me for. When I say that Venom looks stupid, when that movie comes out, and it's seen to be like worse than any other. It's going to be like the Catwoman of the Marvel. Well, it's not Marvel Universe. What is it? Sony.
Sony, yeah.
Yeah, when it's the Catwoman of Sony and Marvel movies, then I will be redeemed.
I think
And
it's going to
certainly
happen the first time she says symbiote.
Oh my god, it's so bad, dude. It looks
Stone,
awful.
Stone_Loki says first he goes after Becker, now EVS. So yesterday I was live streaming, and Alex Becker went live, and I told everybody, I said, hey, go tell Alex Becker he needs to come onto my show. So I go to his chat, and they've hijacked his entire chat. They're like, Geeks and Gamers is calling you out, bro. Geeks and Gamers is calling you. I was like, what are you guys doing? I'm not calling him out. Like, completely took over his entire channel. So that was a lot of fun. So I'll do that to Ethan next time.
Why did you want Alex Becker on?
I just wanted. I'm game to bring anybody on. Look, I'm considering bringing you onto the channel. So clearly, I don't have high standards, Ethan. So it's not a big deal. So,
anyway, Alex Becker is somebody who, first of all, he came out and he made one video about my channel, and I've never heard the end of it.
Really?
He basically said, yeah, you got to put your T-shirt ads at the end of your videos.
Oh, I remember that one. I know what you're talking about.
And I'm just like, bro, listen, your green screen Lamborghini behind you, and all that, notwithstanding, my channel's doing pretty good the way that I'm running business right now. Now, every time I put a video or an advertisement at the front of my videos, just like Bearing does, and I love Bearing. I think his channel is awesome. He has a T-shirt ad or an ad before every one of his videos. I think it's highly effective. Every time I do that, people go, didn't you listen to Alex Becker? Didn't you listen? Didn't you hear what Alex Becker said? I'm like, I'm not Alex Becker's bitch. I do what I want to. Who is Alex Becker? What is this? Do have him on your channel. Tell him I said hello.
I enjoyed the hell out of that video because he tried to prove a point when he went to search something with Star Wars to show that his channel was #1. I was right there in the video too, so I got a whole bunch of free advertising, and he didn't even mention me by name. So I guess I'm doing all the right shit to be indexed. So thanks, Alex Becker. I'm giving a thumbs up to a computer screen that you can't see.
Yeah, but I like Becker. I like his channel. He's got some good stuff. So he super chatted me like $50 one time. So
that's nice of him.
Yeah, I like the sitcom Becker with Ted
God.
Danson.
That was terrible with the blind black dude.
Yeah, the blind black
chick
dude.
that was in
yeah.
it was
he
cute
couldn't
as
see
fuck.
the privilege.
What'd you say?
He couldn't see the privilege that the white people had, so he was happy.
Well, that show may be the example of that.
Anyway, Jeremy, you brought up super chats real quick. We got a bunch of them that rolled in already. I gotta tell thanks to Deshandre Moran, who said, guys, I need an old sci-fi movie about 5 people landing on a planet and get killed by their robot dog. And the robot dog dies. Does it sound familiar to you? Is it like Lost in Space or something?
I'm assuming.
No, and the robot. For a second, I thought he was going with Planet of the Apes, but the robot dog thing threw me off.
Wait, let me reread this. It says, guys, I need an old sci-fi movie about 5 people landing on a planet and get killed by their robot dog. Does this sound familiar to you?
Oh, that's Mars.
Okay.
No. The Val Kilmer movie, not Ghost
Red
Planet.
Red Planet.
Red Planet. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. We're better than Google. Xavier says, I just can't believe that C-3PO is heterosexual. The Kinky Pinky says, has Hamill been on SNL since The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi came out? If not, seems like some people don't want him drawing up skits that throw more shade. Your thoughts?
I don't know if he's been on there or not, but that's an interesting scenario because Disney is watching him like a hawk and everything he says. We all know what Hamill's true thoughts are on everything that's happened. He's been adamant about it since TFA and now TLJ, and then they obviously got to him, either threatened him or paid him one and made him backpedal, but he continues to slip up here and there. So I don't know if he's been on SNL though.
I haven't watched SNL in years.
I think the average American can say that, but I don't think he's been on there either. I'm almost positive he hasn't. That being said, I think that if he were to do that, that would be fucking awesome because just as the illustrious co-member of the High Council here just said, Disney's watching. And I think that for you to have essentially, one of the top 3 faces of your franchise, as we have said before on the bullshitters, that would be not only hilarious for me, but it would be proof positive that, hey, you cannot even convince your top guy, because we already know that he's not convinced because he said it. And no matter what you said to him, that run is over because his ass ain't coming back for episode 9. And if he were to pull that on SNL, especially now that SNL needs a lot of fucking viewers, I would drink that shit like a fine wine.
What, did you guys ever see that Kylo Ren sketch on there where he was
Undercover boss or whatever?
Yeah, that was like the only time I ever liked Kylo Ren. Was that like 3 minutes where it was a comedy sketch because he's a stupid character, so he's funny.
It was. I agree. I hate admitting it, but his ass was funny. I'm just like, I still want to punch you in the fucking kidney, but god damn it, that's a good skit there, Ben Swolo.
Yeah.
Basil said seagulls get their lunch. Oh, sorry, good.
I was just saying, if they kind of played him as a comedy character, I think he would be more likable. Like when I'm in the theater, I laugh at Kylo. I know you're not supposed to, but like when he's beating his chest or when he's shirtless, if those were in a comedy like parody movie, I think those would be good scenes. It's just stupid in a serious movie.
That's why they really need to make another Spaceballs flick, just a parody.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit, that's a good point. Another God damn it,
If Mel Brooks has to die in the next couple years, his last movie should be Spaceballs 2.
You don't think he's already thought of that?
What'd you say?
You don't think that he's already thought of that, especially with the last few years of Star Wars? I would bet assholes to donuts that's exactly what he's thought.
What the fuck? People are like, what happened to the High Council this week? The Basil said seagulls get their lunch from the local landfill, so I guess they'll pick up Rose Tico figures that Ethan didn't get. Because Reason says, admire Jeremy's integrity, salute. I disagree, but fine. LOL. See, I disagree with Jeremy too, but I still respect and admire the fact that he stands his ground. So
you guys could, I can either tell you guys what you want to hear or tell you what I think. That's simple as that.
It's the High Council. You better tell us the damn truth.
Exactly. So no matter how much heat I get. So just if you really want to hear Jeff and I have a good discussion, wait till we bring him on for some wrestling talk on Geeks and Gamers. We got we got our wrestling show going, Jeff. So that's going to be happening soon. Bringing you on.
Just let me know, and I'll make it happen because I can talk about wrestling all day. Obi-Wan 27883 says, "May the force be with you, Council. I hope the conversation takes a better turn. Haha, there's thousands of monies for Ethan's moist XXXXXXXXXXXL shirt defending Rose and the Force Awakens." Mm-hmm. Thank you, Obi-Wan. And I had a great time with you on the show last week, so I can't wait to have you back on. Bomb Shoe says R2-D2 and C-3PO are already an old married couple. There was gay couples in Star Wars 40 years ago. It was just companionable, not sexual. Okay. Sylvia Lucas says, any comments on the hobby shop that got booted due to the Kekistani flag? Hashtag unsleeved media. Have you guys heard about that?
I haven't even heard about that.
Happened? The Kekistani flag?
I don't know, guys. In the chat, somebody fill us in so we can talk about it on air because I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, I'll do some research on that right now.
All right, cool. Rhino 4563. Dion and Jeff need to sing "Doo Doo Butter" at the end with Uncle. Sure. What? We stole your song, Ethan. Apparently, and now it's "Doo Doo Butter." There you go. No, we didn't steal it. Dion was talking about "Doo Doo Butter" on the podcast. And
I literally mentioned it a handful of times, but it just goes to show you the power of a good fandom. Because we've said that maybe twice on this show, and all of a sudden people are just like, you know what, "Doo Doo Butter, man, doo doo butter."
Doo Doo Butter. Okay.
Dikara says, Jeremy to the trebuchet. Sorry, Jeremy. I guess you got to go, my friend.
No, the trebuchet does not get used on someone like Jeremy. Jeremy's a good guy. He just has one opinion that I disagree with. Trebuchet is strictly for Lucasfilm.
2, because I don't know if I can trust a man that's a fucking Alabama fan.
Roll Tide.
Harsh words.
Don't bring sports into this. Trust me, I learned my lesson on my channel. Anytime I talk sports, viewership goes down quickly.
Nick Saban.
That's why I had to create a sports-specific channel. So.
Bernard Babinski, thank you for your very, very generous super chat. In A New Hope, did you ever think Gold 5 was a punk? He told Gold Leader to stay on target, but when Darth Vader put a boot in Gold 2 in Gold Leader's ass, he bailed instead of saying stay on target. I didn't realize that was him that survived the Battle of Yavin. Did you guys?
That was funny.
He's not talking about Wedge, is he? No, Wedge was red, right? He's on team.
Yeah.
He was on Red Squadron. Holy shit!
Gold Squadron were the Y-Wings that were in the bomb, the good bombers in Star Wars, not that bullshit from The Last Jedi where they open the pod bay doors and they just fall into space.
And you mean in space with no gravity? Yeah, I remember that part.
Yeah, I never realized it. I thought they all died. Stay on target, lost Tyree, lost touch. They came from behind.
Well, they do in the special edition when they're pulling away from the Death Star. There is a Y-wing, so I guess he would have to be it.
Yeah, I never realized that was who it was because remember we always talk about in that random Y-wing that survives.
I don't. Shit, man. This is probably the first time in a long time that you and I have talked about a scene in the original Star Wars and have been unsure. I am almost positive that those 3 get shot down. So that just means another live screening of Star Wars.
By the way, folks, if he's listening, one of our fans sent me the specialized editions today, and I'm going to do a review about that in the near future. So I got a lot of stuff to say about that. So press F if you're excited to hear about that. Well, Bernard, we'll have to look into that deeper just for you because I need to know. Because I'm going to honestly go to bed tonight and be like, who is that fucking Y-wing pilot? And it's either here or there. Greepole says the only good thing about the Becker video is you guys could use his ad example to plug all the Comicscape projects before everyone's videos. EVS. That's a good idea, Greepole. Or people. I'm sorry, I've messed up your name a million times. Yeah, that's one thing. Well, that's one of the many things I love about the High Council. We got each other's backs on everything. So, we're like the Megazord. We all come together to form something cool.
Like Voltron.
Yeah.
We all know Megazord is way cooler than fucking Voltron. Don't even pretend.
You think so?
I know so.
We're Power Rangers kids, Ethan.
All right.
Wait. Well, I got like a Jeremy's back on Force Awakens, even though I don't like it. I remember in the theater, I liked the first 5 minutes until Poe Dameron says that "Who talks first" line, and then I hated it.
That's the only part of that movie I actually like.
Yeah, when Kylo stops the blast in midair, I thought that was cool. And at the time,
I'll give you that. That was cool.
I was like, is Abrams pulling this shit off? And then I was disappointed like a minute later. But I remember at the time thinking, like, hey, maybe this is pretty good. Kylo seems scary, He's like he killed the old guy, because the stop in the Force blast wasn't like Leia flying in space or Luke Force Skyping with fast Wi-Fi.
Okay. You don't have to bring up harsh and old memories right now. Okay, just cool it.
I'm taking you back to the tent where your uncle held a phallic object above your head, and you woke up and.
Uncle Peppy wouldn't do that, Dion. Don't worry.
He wouldn't. And not only that, but because he loves me and understands me, he would never break my 8th Amendment rights and make me watch that fucking scene again. I've never seen a movie. Just so many scenes, though. I could just say that scene, and every one of you would be like, oh, wait, which one? That's a bad sign, Disney.
Everything about that movie's bad.
Jesus.
The Grand Inquisitor said turgid for Tico and Priapic for Padme. Priapic for Padme. That's the guy. That's like what, like a 5-hour erection or something where it won't go down?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's a bad thing.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but for Padme, I don't know.
Well, you're breaking her heart or her cervix, whatever comes first.
Brian Leif's not on this channel tonight. David Johnson, this one's for you, Ethan. Please explain yourself. SJW vid was trash. People hate it. What's he talking about?
SJW talking about this video that I did today, and people are mad at me for it. Somebody sent me a video, and it was from 1999, and it's George Lucas on BBC. This was right after The Phantom Menace came out. And in this video, I was actually shocked by this, but also then again, I was kind of sadly like, oh, yeah, this is endemic of Star Wars. So the interviewer asks him, she goes, hey, the characterizations of your, movie characters are really kind of definite. Where did Jar Jar come from? And what she was trying to say in a nice way, because she's also an SJW, is, hey, how come Jar Jar Binks sounds like a fucking Jamaican? Like, what's with all your like kind of ethnic stereotypes in your movies? And George Lucas kind of picked up on that right away. And he was just like, hey, listen, the movie's neutral. This takes place in outer space. These are aliens. Jar Jar's an orange amphibian, and it would take a really weirdo fan base. It's absurd. It's a strange stretch for you guys to think sounds Jamaican and that his ears are like dreadlocks. That comes out of a group of the fans of the films that don't like comic sidekicks. You want all your films to be tough like the Terminator. You only want guy movies. and you're just upset and opinionated over anything. Like, but dude, these movies are for children, and you don't want to admit it. You don't want any comedy in these movies. And I'm telling you, these fans are the same ones. This is George Lucas talking. Same ones. When the first film came out, you guys absolutely hated C-3PO and R2-D2, and now Jar Jar Binks is getting accused of the same thing. And I went, holy shit, George Lucas in 1999 just did the whole toxic fandom thing. Unreal. This is something that's going on with Star Wars now. When they make poor decisions, like The Force Awakens, like the characters that have in The Last Jedi, when the fans roundly reject them and roast them, it takes a certain type of creative staff, a certain type of creative person to turn that around on the fans and say there's something wrong with you. And I was shocked to see George Lucas do it. Now, I just roasted him in that one occasion. I don't know, nor do I remember if he carried on with this whole anti-fan mentality. But what that video was me saying, look, this isn't new. This isn't just Disney Lucasfilm doing it. This is something attached to Star Wars, where as of late, and in terms of that, I mean, like the last 20 years, they're producing stuff that the fans don't like. And when the fans reject it, they get all butthurt. Instead of apologizing or just being like, well, maybe it didn't work out. Maybe we're not going to do it again. They turn viciously on the fans and start calling the fans man babies and saying these movies aren't even for you. Lucas, I love you. I love George Lucas. This was painful to have to sit through and watch. Disney, if these movies aren't for us, who are they for? You're asking for $500 for AT-AT toys. I'm sorry, it's AT-AT. I'm from the 80s. It's not AT-AT. Well, it is. All right. $500.
No, it's AT-AT.
What kid has $500? These are clearly marketed at adults. And when you insult us by saying these movies are for children, are you telling me that the original trilogy, where the entire first two movies were about a trade disagreement, you think that was for kids? That was clearly for George Lucas.
And Ethan, to jump off your point too, if Star Wars was solely for kids, they wouldn't allow people like Jonathan Kasdan to talk about pansexuality and all these weird, crazy fringe ideologies.
Right.
You don't see that shit in The Lion King or Aladdin or Pocahontas or anything like that.
So they try to have it both ways. They insert their weird SJW dogma into these movies. They over-sexualize these movies. They think them through in terms of sexuality. And then when the fans condemn or criticize, they're quick to jump out and attack the fans. Now, I'm always on the side of the fans first. We are the fandom menace. I don't care who's attacking the fans. Even if it's a beloved icon like George Lucas, I'm going to call that shit out on my channel. And I'm going to criticize that. Now, I'm going to take the brunt of that, okay? Some fans didn't understand what I was doing. The fans thought that what I was doing was saying stop with the ethnic stereotyping. I wasn't saying that. You can do that if you want. That doesn't bother me. But to say George Lucas actually denied doing that, when you actually meet Trade Federation members, you meet them in the first 10 minutes of the Force, but not the Force Awakens, of the Phantom Menace, they're clearly Asian stereotypes. They're Japanese businessmen. And he's going to sit there and go, that's all in your imagination? Are you kidding me? So I was disappointed with George Lucas doing that. I felt like I needed to call it out. It is my responsibility. I am not a Star Wars shill. I will criticize it when I get it. If the fans get upset over something that I said, I'll try to explain it one more time. If you disagree, that's okay. You're allowed to disagree. But I have to stand up for the fans every single time, no matter who's criticizing them. That's what I'm going to do. That's the whole point of my channel.
Well, I think you've hit a number of issues. The first one, your channel, since that's the freshest one, I'm going to say one, do what the fuck you're doing. Obviously, being a new guest to the High Council, I will say this. I will say that you calling out Star Wars and George Lucas is phenomenal. Secondly, going back to the beginning, where you addressed him bringing essentially, and I think you hit the nail on the head, the toxic fandom. The only caveat I would make is, and feel free to stop me if I'm mischaracterizing, because again, I think you threw a lot out there, rightfully so. But the the correlation between George Lucas in 99, 2000 in response to the Phantom Menace to today, I think it's a little different. I think that the underlining toxic fandom narrative, I'll say, is the thing that connects the two of them is that it's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. The second thing I will say is that I wouldn't necessarily lump George Lucas in with Kathleen Kennedy in that. I think that in that particular instance was George Lucas defending his short story in the
But he
same way
lied to do
if you and I.
He did lie. I wouldn't lump him in with Kathleen Kennedy either. Like, that would be insane.
Good.
Kathleen Kennedy is not a creative person. George Lucas is a creative genius. I called him a coward because he was called out on what he was doing. And instead of acknowledging that, I do use ethnic stereotyping. Listen, I'm an old man. It's a lazy shortcut. I'm trying to say things about these aliens and who they are and make them relatable to audiences. Is it insensitive? I don't know. If it is, it is. That would have been the proper answer. Instead, he just called the fans liars.
See, the only reason I would stop you there is because I think, again, this is I'm going off of Star Wars in terms of its creation from the beginning. So including Phantom Menace, including the original Star Wars. For him, I can see where he wouldn't assume that it is a racial stereotype. And the only reason I would say that is because, one, the type of person that would come up with Star Wars is fucking crazy. Two, I can see him reacting like that because, again, I think he was going for comedy more than anything else. Now,
of course,
if you make the argument that he subconsciously kind of went off of a stereotype, I'd listen to that. But do I think that he watched a bunch of movies from the 80s, from the 70s, where a lot of them were Asian stereotypes? I don't think he actively knew that. So I can see him defending Jar Jar Binks on the merit that he thought that it was a good character. Now that being said, Jar Jar Binks is a fucking horrible character. I'm not Alabama you over here that's going to defend shitty shit. That Jar Jar Binks was a bad character. but I think the difference, and again, I'm bringing it back to this horrible fucking Star Wars that we're dealing with today. The difference is George Lucas defended it, and guys, feel free to jump in on me. Jeff, especially you and I have talked about this a long time ad nauseum. I think when George Lucas was defending and creating characters, he was doing it from a legitimate place. So he wanted to tell a story. He had already made a bunch of money. He owned it. It was going to always make him money. He was defending characters that he thought at the time, from George Lucas's perspective, were good. Now, Star Wars today is a completely different story. That is, they have an agenda, and I think that's correct in that and again, even though I hate the fucking term SJW, that they do have an agenda. And I think that we just have to make sure that we separate the two, where George Lucas was just a weird dude who came up with Star Wars, who 4 movies in, lost his touch. Lucasfilm today, Kathleen Kennedy, all those folks, they just don't know what the fuck they're doing. And those are two different things that we have to make sure we separate when we talk about Star Wars. Now, as far as and again, I don't mean to take over the conversation, but in terms of the toxic fandom thing, I think that it's very easy to draw a comparison because, one, and the most important point here is that that's a fucking cop-out. So anytime someone makes a movie or a franchise or what they think is going to be a franchise, when the fans, like you said eloquently before, jump on it, they blame toxic fandom. And it's never, and we said this on the last episode of World Class Bullshitters. I know you guys have mentioned it on the High Council here. That's an excuse to cover up the fact that what you made is not a good film. It's not a good franchise. And I do think that George Lucas definitely fell victim to that. And I think that's more of an example of the fact that people who make movies sometimes forget what it's like to be a fan at the same time and make a good film, more so than it's like everyone is trying to pile on the fans. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, of course.
I want to jump in real quick too, and I think that and I haven't seen EVS's video, but in my opinion, and I'm going to talk about the reaction to his video. I feel like that there's a lot of hypersensitivity surrounding George Lucas right now because he was criticized so bad for so long, and now a lot of people are realizing, like, God, it would be amazing if we had George now. So if anybody dares say anything about George, they're not listening to the points being made. They're just hearing that George is being criticized. And I think that we need to just listen to what EBS is actually saying and not who he's saying it about, and listen to the message behind what he's saying, if that makes sense. Without seeing the video, that's what it sounds like to me. So,
wait, why is George Lucas always saying that these are kids' films? Because do you remember Star Wars where Luke's uncle and aunt got fucking burned to death? Like, I never liked that they're kids' films. Like, I get that kids can watch them, but I don't watch Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and think of them like Disney children films.
They're not. They're not at all.
They're very gritty films, I find, with like levity, but they have stakes, and as an adult, they're just as watchable and immersive as they were when I was 10.
Well, as someone that's defended George Lucas for a long time, and I have defended him against the backlash that he received for the prequels and everything, George Lucas, let's call a spade a spade. George Lucas flip-flops on things he says all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
All the time.
He does.
He's crazy.
Saying that as someone that loves this man and appreciates this man, but he flip-flops all the time, and I don't think George Lucas ever intended on creating something that was going to take over the world and become a phenomenon. And he just kind of says, he talks out of his ass sometimes. He's the most brilliant storyteller in Hollywood history, but that's the facts. He just kind of he double speaks all the time.
Yeah, there's no way he had Star Wars planned out as 9 films in the beginning.
No.
I don't buy that ever. And all the contradictions between the originals and the prequels were just bad storytelling. And the fact that Princess Leia and Luke, brother and sister the whole time, and all that other shit. No. Star Wars was written as that one movie. Splinter of the Mind's Eye was the sequel. He had no clue what was going to happen. That's why no one knew what was going to happen with the first Star Wars.
20th Century Fox didn't want to give him all that money.
No, they didn't give him any money. He just got all the rights to the merchandise. That's why it took almost 6 extra months to get that shit out in theaters. There was nothing, or not theaters and stores. There was no Star Wars Christmas '77. There was puzzles and
remember, even when he was making the movie, they were hounding him on the budget. They thought that they were like, well, as long as this movie just makes its money back. That's how little people were into Star. And again, and Jeff said that multiple times. That's why it was just Star Wars. It was going to be a fucking one-off.
Yeah, this whole saga, I think I'm not going to really get too into the George Lucas thing because, one, I want to see the clip and watch Ethan's video. But I'll just say George Lucas, the grass is not greener on the other side.
I agree. I think he gets too much credit actually for a lot of things. Have you guys ever seen that video, Star Wars Saved in the Edit? It's a really great video here on YouTube where they show that his original cut of Star Wars was a mess. Really badly paced and meandering, and the crawl at the beginning sucked, and Brian De Palma rewrote it, and his wife edited the film and fixed a lot of the structure. And the best Star Wars film was written by Lee Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan. And I've often felt like I like American Graffiti and I like Star Wars, but I don't know if I buy this George Lucas is a genius thing that people always say. I think
he's absolutely a genius.
I don't think he's Stanley Kubrick or something.
Like Star Wars doesn't exist.
But you're comparing apples to oranges. Stanley Kubrick and go ahead.
No, I just think 2001. I don't know. I would say that when we say he's like the best storyteller ever, I don't agree with that. I think there's a lot of filmmakers.
I'd say top 5. I'd say top 5.
One thing I will I'll talk about Star Wars is it's borrowed from a lot of sources, a lot of Kurosawa stuff. Gordon, Buck Rogers, stuff like that. That doesn't take away from George Lucas. I think George Lucas had a good concept, and then the right people got involved, and then you had the right people telling him no, with Gary Kurtz, and then you had somebody like a Harrison Ford who kind of was like, yo, you can't say this shit. You can type it, but you can't say it. And you had people that questioned his ideas the entire way. And I think when you have George Lucas in a box, you get Star Wars. And then when George Lucas is doing other shit, you get Empire and Jedi. When you get George Lucas in complete control, you get Jar Jar Binks and you get Dexter Jetster and all these dumb characters that, we can sit and go, oh man, they were better than the Disney ones, and I'll agree with you. But still, the Nemoidians are shitty. Anakin Skywalker is played by Jake Lloyd and Hayden Christensen don't really live up to the expectations of Star Wars. I think in many ways George bought into his own hype that these are kids movies, and he let certain things go to pass, and it's just like bright, flashy colors. But people from every walk of life, from every age, hold these movies in high regard. If these were kids' films, I mean, no one talks about Black Hole. No one talks about all these children's films that came out decades before and after Star Wars. No, Star Wars is its own beast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look at a lot of pioneers, though, people that take risks fuck up a lot. And for every Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, you're going to have a Jar Jar and a Hayden Christensen performance. That's just how. That's how nobody has ever been spot on with everything they've ever done.
How come you never got that post original trilogy, or in the original trilogy you didn't get that? Like George Lucas, let's say he just got lucky in the first movie. How come we were able to get then Boba Fett and Lando and all these other interesting characters in the next one, and then we get the Return of the Jedi, and you introduce Jabba the Hutt and the Emperor, and you have all these new characters that come in each subsequent film that are as good or in some ways better. You know, Yoda comes in Episode 5. How come you're able to introduce those types of characters? And then when we get to Episode 1, you'd think with all the resources and all the power to do what he's got to do, you get Jar Jar, you get.
I think 3's on par with the other ones.
M. Night Shyamalan made The Sixth Sense, and then he made The Happening. How did that happen? And he had more creative power with The Happening.
No, you know what happened with Lucas and Star Wars is honestly too much time went by. Too much time went by, and then too much self-awareness crept in. Because if George Lucas had kept on rolling after Return of the Jedi and then done Episode 1 in 1985 instead, I think Episode 1 would have been much better, and Jar Jar Binks wouldn't have been in there. But the problem listen though, when it's like if the Beatles ever got back together again, there'd be so much like goofy kind of self-consciousness, like, whoa, we're the Beatles and we're back. And that's kind of what happened with George Lucas Episode 1 with Phantom Menace. It's like everybody's been waiting for this for 30 years. And instead of just a natural progression into the next story that would have happened had he kept rolling on and on, there was so much build up that it just came out and vomit just all these bad ideas all at once.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of people.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Sorry, there's so many of us. A lot of people have said this, and I think it's true. When George made the original trilogy, he was hungry, he was desperate to break through, and his livelihood depended on it. When he made the prequels, right? When he had the prequels, he was a billionaire that literally nobody was going to say a word to him. No, Jar Jar is stupid. Why is he stepping in poop? Why are you doing this? Nobody was telling that to George Lucas. So I can totally see how he kind of got lost in himself at that point. And I like the prequels, but I get the criticisms. Absolutely. And some of it is cringe-worthy. So that can be the difference in how he made the original trilogy with a lot of great people surrounding him versus where we got to the prequels at.
Jeremy's absolutely right tonight. Absolutely right. Good man, Jeremy. You have redeemed yourself.
Well, hold on. We got a couple super chats that think otherwise. So first off, hi, Jeff sent that email. Nathan, I will check that as soon as we go off air. Makini90 sent in a very, very generous super chat. Good evening, everyone. Question: people who defend She-Ra's design say that critics are incels who are mad they don't have something to jack off to. I'm wondering how you guys feel about that. Thanks again for Friday. Ethan, you started because you had a video about this earlier, or a stream.
Yeah. These dummies. Well, there are a couple of things. These are people who don't understand each other. I mean, honestly, when I first saw the She-Ra design, it's very anime, manga kind of in its design. Now, the problem with manga, the problem with anime, I should say, is that you can't tell the age of the characters. Everyone has a child's face and kind of a woman's body. And it's always been very disturbing to me. Everyone has big eyes and a strawberry-shaped head, little tiny mouth. And so when that came out, it was a very strange thing. I looked at it for a long time and said, why is she flat-chested and yet she has super broad shoulders like she's an athlete? I don't understand. Why does she have no lips? What is going on with this design? And I looked at it for a while, and then I thought, is this little She-Ra? Is this like baby She-Ra? And now, if that were adult She-Ra, we would have a real problem. I think there's something about this. The creator is a woman named Noelle Stevenson. She is SJW. She's a lesbian. All of these things. I think people immediately flew off the handle and thought that Noelle Stevenson had created a kind of sexless, kind of androgynous lesbian version of She-Ra. And in that case, I mean, if that were the case, people would have a right to kind of flip out because she just doesn't look like the original character. But apparently, this version of She-Ra is like 12 years old. And so that's the thing. Now, the other thing is that SJWs tend to do this. They set traps for people in pop culture. They'll put something like that out there as bait for people to look at and go, no, I don't like this. I don't like this. And then they'll say, why? Because you can't fap to it, pervert? Well, she's just a child. Why do you want boobs on a child? Well, that drawing does not look like a child. That drawing looks like an anime drawing of a woman with a flat chest. Once you inform them that this is little She-Ra, that takes on an entirely new context. But this whole issue was a trap. It was just a trap to get people upset and then to just kind of point the finger. SJWs do not care about making money. SJWs do not care about creating a good piece of entertainment. She-Ra's going to last one season. It's going to get canceled. It's not going to last a second season, and nobody will care. Least of all the SJWs. They've already made their point. They've made their point. They can do whatever they want to these characters, and you have to just sit back and suck it up and just deal with it.
Yeah, our channel's been getting bombarded over on Facebook with this She-Ra Princess of Power crap. I just looked at her biceps. I'm like, I don't get what this is. This looked like Squirrel Girl to me. All this new redesign of 80s characters just doesn't work well because you're adapting something kids don't know or care about. And the people that may go back and buy like Lino and other characters from Thundercats, well, they're not going to buy this garbage version, so you don't win.
Well, yeah, I mean, and then they'll retreat and go, don't you understand? This is for children. This is for children. Why are you so upset about what we're doing to children? Stay away from my kids, first of all. SJWs, you're not doing anything for my kids. I'm sorry. Keep your weirdness away from my children. I don't want you indoctrinating my kids with anything that you have to say. Nothing. You're all monsters. Get in the trebuchet. You're going to fucking Mars. ASAP. All of you. That's point number one. But I mean, point number two, again, this really is just kind of is it a fap trap? Somebody's saying in the chat. Yeah, this doesn't mean anything. Kids don't know who She-Ra is. Stop saying this is for kids. This is clearly for people who are in their 40s who have a fondness for the Masters of the Universe Eternia franchise, who might say, oh, is this like, all right, this is a new spin on that thing that I kind of liked when I was 8. All right, well, I'll look into it. You know, I mean, maybe if it's good. That's what that is. Kids don't care about this. No kid knows who She-Ra is. And it's only on Netflix. It's not getting a great big push anywhere else. There's not going to be a big, famous, gigantic toy line in Target like there is for DC Supergirls, or any of that. This is clearly aimed at adults. It was meant to kind of infuriate or bother people. Last for one season and then disappear, just like Thundercats Roar.
That DC girl line, by the way, when I filmed the Dying Toys R Us video, dude, I have seen stacks of Star Wars toys, and the only thing to rival it are those damn DC superhero girl dolls. Those things were everywhere.
They made too many of them. They made all different sizes, all different. Yeah, we bought a few of them. My stepdaughter roasted me with them just a few minutes ago when I was live. She's like, somebody's like, do you play with Barbies? And I'm like, no, of course not. I'm a man. I don't play with Barbies. And she came over with a stack of my baby daughter's Barbie dolls, including DC Supergirls. Like, well, explain this then. And, totally roasted me on my own show. It was great. But yeah, anyway, the point is that at least that's an actual thing. She-Ra is not going to work out. And this is just typical. I mean, people are going to come away from this. The few remaining, and by the way, He-Man is a dying brand, just like Star Wars is. It's a dying brand. There's still, it's G.I. Joe. There's still some hardcore fans. The comic book sells about 5,000 to 3,000 copies of G.I. Joe. Those are the hardcore G.I. Joe fans. You're bleeding them off. You put an SJW like Aubrey Sitterson on the comic book, makes G.I. Joe into some kind of socialist UN force. You're going to kill what's left of the fandom. This is going to kill what's left of the Masters of the Universe fandom. I don't care. I was never a big Masters of the Universe fan, but my feeling as a creative person is that if you're given this property to work on, you need to produce the very, very best version of it that's possible. And I said this on another chat. I said, I'm not a My Little Pony fan. But if that was my job, I would find out what My Little Pony fans liked. Oh, God, help me. And then try to produce the best version of that as possible, because I'm trying to sell comics. I'm not trying to agitate people. I'm not trying to annoy the fan base. I'm trying to get their $4 off of them. So this is an SJW mindset that I can't stand. I don't understand it. Getting all of this criticism on Twitter was the entire point. The cartoon doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I won't be making a solo video about it, but that's the most you're going to hear from this channel on it. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to say? Dion, Jeremy, Pat?
Yeah. I think, especially when it comes to shit like that, I think that the overall, and again, I'm just throwing against the wall here. The overall issue is that 80s properties that weren't very good to begin with are fucking dead, and I think that it's, things like examples like Master of the Universe, Transformers are really suffering. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When you forcefully bring back something, and I don't think it's necessarily just SJW, it's attaching other bullshit to it. So now, and this particular example, She-Ra, is a prime example of, I think, more so attaching shit than SJW. Like again, wanting to use something as a vehicle to get a point across, isn't always bad. But again, when you force it, and I think you said it perfectly, when no one knows who the fuck She-Ra is. I think the difference is they're using Netflix, which we've talked about on World Class Bullshitters. People don't give a shit about that. And I think kids would like She-Ra. I think they really would. But the group of people who take content the most and who pick up on that the most are kids. When you're pushing something else, they don't understand it. They just go, "Oh, well, whatever that means, I'm gonna go watch something else." I think it's less SJWs and it's more people just putting shit on there. And again, I think Netflix is gonna learn that the hard way, especially since they're going to spend $12 billion in the next 2 years or whatever. I think I saw that article the last few days. It's less, specifically SJWs. It's just that this is the trend, and they think that the trend is, old characters who look different and look anime, and we're gonna put it on Netflix or put it on whatever. It's less SJW and it's more, this is what's gonna make us money. And I think that's, even in the long term, after this whole pendulum has corrected itself, that's a lot more dangerous, because at that point you are just basing your entire product off of what you think is popular, and that is a lot more fucking dangerous than what the assholes at Lucasfilm are coming up with. Because again, that shit hits the wall and it crumples real fucking fast.
What? Jeremy, Pat, do you have anything you want to add about the She-Ra Princess of Power?
Fuck you, DM. I suck, you swallow.
Yeah, I was asked about it. I'm not that familiar with any of the characters involved, so for me to interject my opinion would be like an SJW caring about something they don't care about. So I'm saying I don't have any knowledge on it, so it would be kind of disingenuous for me to speak on it.
I'm with you. I was born too late for He-Man and Transformers and G.I. Joe. So yeah. I followed He-Man when I was really young, but I don't have a vested interest in it enough. So I could put my pussy head on right now and scream about it to pretend I care about it like an SJW, but I'm not going to.
Well, on the counter of that, I will say, doing something good. A property that I wanted because of my Rainbow Brute idea. I wanted to make that legit. I went to Hallmark and I said, "Can I buy Rainbow Bright? Who's got Rainbow Bright?" And they told me, "No, we actually just sold it to Dynamite Comics." This was way back in February. So I was like, "Oh, shit." Well, Dynamite just released the ad for Rainbow Bright, and they get it totally right. It's like if I had that property, I would make Rainbow Bright kind of look like that, and then make her work in my Rainbow Brute universe. But I mean, in contrast to the disastrous depiction of She-Ra, I have to just shout out Dynamite Comics and their Rainbow Bright. I did a little video about it. They got it right. And it doesn't matter what it is. If it's a girl's property, if it's a boy's property, if it's something you would read, if it's something that you're not interested in, you got to do your best version of it. You got to sell it to those fans. You got to always be concerned about what the fans want. And that is, I think that's what Dynamite did. So,
dear Dynamite Comics, could you please up your game with your James Bond line? I'm the number one James Bond fan. It's very lacking. Like they're going to hear me say that. Pat, do you have anything you want to say about She-Ra before we move on?
I mean, it sounds pretty fucking shitty, but beyond that, this is typical right now with modern media, and I think Ethan makes a good point. It's Ethan, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. The main issue is I think that, and we're seeing this with Hollywood in particular, which I don't know if it's just because the country's so divided right now, politically, socially. It feels like things aren't being geared towards fan bases, excluding things maybe like the Marvel universe and Kevin Feige and a few other things. They seem to be making properties for one side is the politics, and then the other side is what was brought up was the money, because they don't want to come up with an original property, so they're going to go back to the past, and they think nostalgia is going to make money because I guess things like Stranger Things and Force Awakens making $2 billion. It's like people want their childhood back on a lunchbox. Fuck yeah. But I don't know. I think this is just going to keep happening. I think Netflix is very SJW. I think shows like I've watched a lot of the recent stuff like Dear White People and a few other shows. And I think that Netflix clearly has a political agenda, but maybe I'm reading into it.
You're not.
But I think Hollywood and Twitter's made it pretty clear. Every celebrity's Twitter, even people I love like James Gunn, his Twitter's absolute ass cancer. And yeah, I think this is just another sign of that. So there isn't really much to say without just us repeating things that we've been saying for the last few years about almost every property now. I think the writing's on the wall for Hollywood in a lot of things. I don't know how much this stuff's going to exist in 10, 15, 20 years, especially with digital media becoming so popular. So I would say this is just a sickness that'll get fixed eventually. I don't think this is like a long-term issue. I think it'll fix itself. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that'll lose money, and then because think about the money you're spending, like to do this, like World Class Bullshitters of the High Council, like compared to the money they spend to do something, and what you're getting back a return to profits as opposed to what they get. So I think that balance is going to keep going more and more and more and more to you guys, and less so to things like Netflix and big movie studios. So I'm not too worried about it in the long term, but it's annoying in the short term.
They're destroying the culture. They don't care about money. The thing is, Netflix cares about money, but the people who are making these decisions do not. This is entirely what SJWs do. They creep into places like Netflix, and they pretend to care about their job and then about making money. And then they go ahead and they make these stupid-ass decisions that are entirely based on their ideology, not based on profit, making profits. Now, that is the key thing, the key reason why Hollywood, if you do care about making money, and I'm not sure that you do anymore, do not hire SJWs. Look at their social media. If they're ranting about Trump, if they use phrases like problematic, mansplaining, any of that toxic masculinity, never hire them. And if you have anyone on your staff like that, fire them immediately. Because
so you're saying they're like the Joker? They're burning the money, and they're like, it's about
exactly
sending
right.
a message.
No. See, that's where I disagree. I think the thing is the problem with I was talking about with my wife about it. They're I call them capitalist SJWs, because they do care about money, right? But what they're doing is they think that it is popular. If something happened tomorrow where the next big thing was the opposite, all those same motherfuckers that you would see at Netflix would be coming up with shows with the same thing. I don't think that, like I say this all the time on the show. If you believe it, you believe it all the time. These motherfuckers don't believe it all the time. So a lot of these dudes in the background were all trumpeting the status quo fucking 5 years ago. They just think that they're doing what is popular. The people who come up, especially at Netflix, even though they come up with some bullshit with Jessica Jones 2, you know, a couple months later, Lost in Space fucking comes out. You know, they're just throwing shit. And some of them, again, a lot of them do believe that shit where it's, you know, all dudes are fucking sexist and all this bullshit. But a lot of them, they just think that, oh well, all those people who think like that will pay money to come watch this shit.
But there's not that many people, and I never say this on the channel, but the election goes to show you that the people that think, like, to jump off your point, Dion, if those people believed that and they thought it was the case, the election wouldn't have went the way it went. I'm not saying you got to have conservative entertainment all the time, but the fringe of Netflix doesn't work. The shit that people are watching on Netflix is like, hey, I want to watch reruns of Iron Chef or something like that. That's why Netflix will basically put itself out of business in so many years when there's solely original content and it has a weird angle and spin on it. And they hire these people that are toxic actors or toxic celebrities. Right. And then they're just going to and then the thing is, they're just going to open up the doors for people like us who are more level-headed and have a wider take on certain things. These extreme celebrities are insane. You know, your Lena Dunhams of the world and all this shit. Those are the people that can't be reasoned with. And no matter what, now they do believe what they believe all the time, but I'm with Ethan on that they don't care about money or whatever. They have an agenda that they push and they will see it till the end. And they will go down and they'll take everyone with it.
You know, they're either already wealthy or they're comfortable living in poverty. But SJWs, believe it, they are not interested in making any money. That's not what their point is.
They totally are, man. I'm telling you right now, that shit is it's a fucking front. Like, especially what's that other movie coming out? It's all fucking Asian people, rich Asians or whatever it is. The movie's literally about the dude is super rich and his girlfriend isn't, and his mom doesn't like her. Like how you can't tell me, you know, if you're going on and on about that bullshit, and then you come out with a movie about, oh well, we're all Asian and that's the gimmick, but they still deal with.
But that's a little different though, because I could see Jake's mom pulling that shit, and you see that kind of stuff. I think something like that is a little more of a reflection of a real life situation. These crazy SJW people have odd beliefs, and then you get somebody like what's his face, Jordan Peele, who puts Get Out there, and I just can't stand that kind of like the movie you're talking about seems like just like, oh, this is a representation or whatever. Then you got Get Out that's got like a weird message behind it, and that's
see, Get Out was a perfect example because the point that they chose a black dude was because black was popular. So that's a perfect example of that. So, you know, that's why again, I haven't watched the whole thing. You know, I watched like the second half of it, but they literally say, you know, when he asked, well, why me or whatever, the dude that was Bradley, what's his name, that was in the West Wing, he goes, well, black is in right now. And I think that's more of example. He was playing a bit of the both sides, where he was kind of feeding on the whole woke bullshit. At the same time, the bad guys were like, hey, it's just being black is popular.
Well, you're right about that. I would say one of the themes of Get Out is liberals fetishizing black people.
Right.
And
exactly.
One example would be the dialogue where the dad says, if I could have voted for Obama a third time, I would have.
Yep.
And that's an example because
he's making fun of those people.
Yeah, they want to be black because they think they understand black people deeper than conservatives or middle America because they're woke. And it's got a lot to do with classism, that these rich liberals, they're able to afford to be moral assholes. To moral grandstand because they have the money to do it, and that's part of Get Out. I say Get Out does play, but I've heard Jordan Peele talk about that in a few interviews, and ER did a video, and he kind of had that theory in his second half. So I do think that's very true for that movie, but it also is making fun of the other side, while also being like a thriller, psychological thriller horror movie at the same time.
I just don't think Jordan Peele, just because he made that movie, deserves to do the Twilight Zone now of all people.
No, I agree.
No. That's a separate. Again, that's going back to the whole people who don't know what the fuck they're doing. That part I agree with you 100%.
He's turned into J.J. Abrams though, like as far as like just shooting up to success. Like he went from like a sketch comedy guy to like an A-list director, like overnight. I mean, that made so much money, and then he won the Oscar and. Or maybe M. Night Shyamalan's a better comparison after Sixth Sense. It's kind of like that.
I was going to stop you. I think that that's the comparison. Jordan Peele's starting to become M. Night Shyamalan. If M. Night Shyamalan wasn't fucking tugging his own weeds. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you know, like he made a movie that appealed to everyone. You know, not super wide brand, but Get Out, you know, made fun of both sides a little bit. You know, but you know, God, well, and that, you know, before that was Keanu. You know, so you know he's. I'd
Did
say
he
him
direct
and M. Night
that?
Shyamalan is the
He
better.
did work on it. He didn't like direct it, but he was like involved
Right.
with it. I know.
Because I
he's
loved
been-
Key and Peele, the show, and I liked Keanu
me
quite a bit.
too.
I think he's a very funny guy, but
Yep.
I don't think he's as smart as the people in the media are trying to make him out to be. And I don't think he's the right voice for the next generation of science fiction.
No, I'd agree with
I
that.
think he
for
can
sure.
tell one interesting story. Not even interesting, but he can tell that one story, and he's going to try to turn that into like a season of the Twilight Zone, and you're going to have a season worse than the Forrest Whitaker one in the early 2000s. I don't hate him. I think he's funny as shit, but I just don't want him involved with more.
I think a better example of that would be like Ryan Coogler and Black Panther, how the media and reviewers tried to talk about that being like the best comic book film ever and a masterpiece. And I think that film has a bunch of things wrong with it, and it's kind of boring as shit.
We
And,
got lambasted when we reviewed the trailer for that shit.
yeah, and the message is kind of convoluted. And I think that people say they sympathize with Killmonger blows me away because he's basically Black Hitler. And they're like, oh, I get where he's coming from because yeah, the white people took the land, you know. And I think that's becoming like a common thing. Basically, if you put a political message in a halfway decent movie, and you're of a certain group, let's say if you're gay, you're black, you're what, a female, even Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman, I think she got way too much praise as well.
That
Even
movie
though I
was
don't hate
excellent,
Wonder
and
Woman.
It was the only DC Comics movie that was good. I haven't
No, I
seen
think
a
it's
better DC Comics
decent.
movie. So she actually did deserve that praise. But you guys, you know, I'm telling you now, you have to understand one thing. This is absolutely true. SJWs, if they do make money, it's incidental. That is not their purpose. Their purpose is only to get their ideology out there. They will invade Hollywood. They'll invade comics. They'll invade every single thing. Video games. They'll invade the NFL. They don't really give a shit if the NFL is profitable. That's not the point. The point is, let's get in here. Let's gut this thing and let's dance around and wear it like a skin suit. Yeah, we're the NFL now. Look at us. We're SJWs in the NFL, pretending to be the NFL. That is what they do every single time. Now, if they do turn a profit every now and then, that is entirely a happy surprise. That's not their point. Their point is always ideology first, profit second, which is why you can't hire them. None of them care about money.
And then as
They make
soon
money.
as
That's great. They feel like they do deserve to make money for their ideology. Of course, they feel that way, but that's not why they do it. If they cared about making a profit, they'd be aiming their shit square at Middle America, like I'm doing with Cyberfrog. I mean, this is the whole thing. I mean, it's like you aim your product at the people with money, the people who go to the movie theater, the people who actually buy comic books, go to the movies, watch TV, watch Netflix. That's what you do. You don't try to teach them nothing. You try to give them what they want. But they don't do that. They all think they're going to teach rubes something, and in return for that, they're going to receive money. Maybe, maybe not. But even if they don't, it's because they're racist. If people don't love She-Ra, it's because they're bigots, they're sexist, they're homophobic, and that's their fucking problem. I'm going to move on to the next thing. I'm going to move on over to Pokemon and destroy that. That's what I'm going to do next. She-Ra didn't work out, but that's because the fans are bigots. Moving along. That is how SJWs work. Don't ever, for one single second, think that they care about making money.
yeah, and
They
that's the
don't care
point.
about making money. Don't ever hire them. Anyone in the audience, don't ever hire an SJW. They don't care about capitalism. They are neo-Marxists. They don't care. So they will actually ruin your business while they're trying to be woke, while they're trying to get everybody else in trouble who works for you for not being woke enough. They'll drive your business into the ground. And that, all of this other stuff. I mean, don't, if it confuses you, that's good. It's that's what they want. They want you to kind of think, hey, we're out to make a little money just bringing far leftist ideology to the masses through He-Man. Fuck them. Get them out of here. That's what the trebuchet is for. And by the way, not just one trebuchet, an army of trebuchets. And World Class is going to help me. We're going to fundraiser, GoFundMe for trebuchets all up and down the coast. We're flinging them straight into the ocean if we can't get them to Mars. My NASA scientists, they're not so sure they can get them to Mars. Fine. Just right in the middle of the ocean where the sharks are. Let's get them out of here. And that's the only way. That's the only hope for something like Star Wars. That's
Well,
the
that's
only
what happened
hope
with
for something
Marvel.
like that.
Like what you're saying, that's basically what happened with Marvel Comics with the
That's
not caring
correct.
about the
Marvel Comics is
market, but the
completely
money.
converged.
Not caring about the money. Yeah, I agree. I think that's why Infinity War did so well because it wasn't that political.
Oh no! That's part one. That's going to get people into the theater. Part two is going to be a woke nightmare.
The woke night.
Part two. Here comes Captain Marvel. Here comes the female, formerly female Captain Marvel, Carl Manvers. She's going to come in. She's going to lead her army of woke female feminist far leftist radicals.
So it's
the people who got all their comics canceled at Marvel. People who can't sell a comic over 5,000 copies, they are now going to be the stars of the MCU because we've killed all the toxic white male characters. And they're going to come in and save the day. What are they going to do? They're going to stand up. They're going to stand up to what's his face? Who's the
Thanos.
Thanos, thank you.
Yeah.
They're going to stand up to Thanos. They're going to say, you're a toxic male. Don't you understand? Girl power. You're a racist. And that's going to make him shrink. And then
I think Putin's making you say all of this. Actually, you're a Russian bot. That's
no. This is reality. This is reality. I want you to watch this happen because SJWs have infiltrated Marvel. Those characters have bombed out at Marvel. They bombed out. Their books don't sell. Marvel's attitude is no longer
movies.
Yeah, Marvel Comics' attitude is no longer, hey, these characters suck. The testing ground of comics rejected them. No, they're just going to be like, hey, we're going to put them all in the movies now. We're gonna show them to the whole world.
Tight. The tin hat is getting tight. These motherfuckers, they just made almost $3 billion. They're not going to fucking batten down the hatches and toss them into Infinity Wars Part 2. That is fucking crazy. That is fucking
I'll have
crazy.
to wait and
if
see
that
about
were the
that.
case,
I
if
don't
that were
know
the
if that'll
case,
happen.
Captain America would be fucking dead.
Dude,
He'll die in the next one.
Get ready. Avengers 2 is going to be the lowest selling Marvel movie of all time. The lowest box office of all time.
Like I said, they like money.
They set this up. No, they don't.
Money.
SJWs over there have convinced people at Marvel. They have totally and completely cucked Kevin Feige.
Iron Man and Captain America, one of them would be dead by now.
They cucked Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige was like, at first he's like, hey man, I'm in here. I'm rocking these movies out. People love Iron Man. People love, these characters. We got all these great Avengers. We're doing Civil War, all this bullshit. And then suddenly it's, yeah, well, we're going to put Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel.
They waited until the $2.5 billion movie to do that.
Yeah, they're going exactly what they're. Watch them do it. They think they
okay.
The ball
they
up.
like money, son. They want to repeat it, and
you're about to learn,
especially after Black Panther.
Listen, you're about to learn, and you're going to come back to me, and you're going to say you were right, Ethan. You're about to learn.
Listen,
they just got regular people to set them up into a position where they can now launch their SJW bullshit to the biggest audience possible. We tricked you. We got you into the theaters with the first one. Now here comes the second one. It's Force Awakens and The Last Jedi all over again.
They wait till after the cash and the check clear. I'm not saying they're not going to do it. They're definitely going to wait until after Infinity War Part 2. I can see for sure.
I think Infinity War Part 2 is where they're going to do it.
Again, like I said, you're playing with Disney's money.
Captain Marvel. Here comes the Captain Marvel movie. It's right around the corner. They're going to introduce you to your grouchy PMSing next door neighbor dressed in a superhero suit. And they're going to try to launch her. Doesn't matter. She's going to star in Avengers 4. In Avengers 4. And all of her weirdo friends, Squirrel Girl is going to be in it. Kamala Khan with her growing hands, that weirdo. All of these terrible, terrible characters are going to be introduced to the American world.
Infinity War.
Well, Dion, they've already confirmed all this Captain Marvel shit's happening. That's not conjecture on Ethan's part.
No, I agree with that. I mean,
they already cut Feige. It doesn't matter if Feige is. It doesn't matter how red pill Feige used to be. He's been blue pilled. He is now under SJW control. And he is going to ruin Avengers 4 by putting these terrible characters in there. I promise you, people will go see it, and they're never going to see. That's it. They're going to kill the MCU with this one movie. Get ready. You'll come back to me and you'll say,
when I come back on the show, and the opposite happens, I don't want to. I don't
I'm
want to hear
pretty
any
sure you'll
stutter
be
step.
on before Infinity War Part 2 comes out. Dion.
Probably, but
Well,
dude,
no, okay, I'm playing to the crowd at this point. I'm trying to bring in the comments. Don't worry. But anyway, back to that. No, yeah. When I come back, don't stutter, because again, like I said before, if you believe it, you believe it all the time. And
I'm right.
if they were going to play that, they would have played that, especially right before. Again, they that was more of the media that pulled that shit for Black Panther. That wasn't Marvel pulling that whole, we have the all black cast. And even after the movie, they didn't force him into a role
No.
where
Black
he
Panther
lives.
made them. Black Panther was a big success because it was a cool ass movie.
Exactly.
That made them arrogant.
They know that cool.
They think
even
that was
with,
an SJW movie. That was not an SJW movie. That was a cool fantasy movie about how cool Wakanda might be. That's a great movie. That's a fantasy most people buy into. Now they think that's an SJW movie. Now let's launch our horrible feminist characters. Let's make Avengers 4. Let's kill all the males. And let's make all these ladies come save the day. Here comes Kamala Khan with her growing hands. Suddenly everyone's going to like it. As soon as they see Kamala Khan on the big screen, instead of Iron Man, instead of Thor, instead of Captain America, instead of all these characters they've already come to love, this is Marvel's last gambit at trying to sell these characters. They're going to take it to the very biggest stage possible, and it's going to crash. Kevin Feige already admitted this is what's going to happen. This is what he's being forced to do. He could tell the story. He could make it cool. He could have had Adam Warlock come in. No, it's got to be Carol Manvers. Got to be Carol Manvers or Carl Danvers.
Yeah.
Whatever her name is. It's actually Carl Manvers now. This is you guys. The little red pill. It's gonna happen. This is how these people think.
I can't wait now.
Well, Dion, we're gonna make a Dukes Brothers bet because we are really
we are.
behind on the super chat. I have to catch up on some of these. But Ethan, I'm with you. The only thing I will say to add to that, Ethan, is too bad that DC didn't play their cards right for when Marvel went SJW and crashed. They were like, "Hey guys, Batman and Superman are the classic characters.
Make them gritty,
Wonder
cool
Woman
as fuck.
and Wonder Woman already came out and wasn't really preachy or stupid. So we already have the female character. We have the guys everybody likes, and we can have other characters like Cyborg." At first, I thought it was dumb to have Cyborg in the movie. Why not have a black Green Lantern if you had to have a black character? But Cyborg worked out in terms of the story. That's neither here nor there. My point is DC has already fucked up too, so the superhero movies are going to kind of just suffer once Marvel goes that route.
So, yeah, well, DC is already starting to kind of get a little bit infiltrated. They're taking on water. They're taking on some SJWs themselves. So that's
I agree in the books themselves because you got G. Willow Wilson that's doing Wonder Woman now.
Yep.
And you're going to have all the books take. But I mean, I picked up Superman #1 from Bendis and what's his name, Ivan Reis. Honestly, I bought it because they brought back the red trunks. But I even picked up a little bit of that with the new Superman, so I'm a little worried. But hopefully they can fix it in the movies because they need to make money. Warner Brothers doesn't have the same assets as Disney.
Yeah, it's true. I hope they do it right. I hope they don't get completely converged. I'm worried about it. I'm worried because they've got Jeff Johns is out of there. Diane Nelson's out. She was in SJW, so that's encouraging. But Jeff Johns was so practical and so gifted and so right on the money with these DC characters. I wish that he was there working actively on making sure these movies are as good as they can possibly be. Because the Marvel crash is coming. Crash is coming. Get ready.
Didn't he get booted too early? Like, wasn't he brought on and the movies were already so deep into production? He kind of got let go over stuff that was out of his control.
Jeff is not a filmmaker. I mean, he's just a comic book writer. So he got in there. I think they gave him a lot of responsibilities. What is he going to do it all himself? I think I don't understand. I don't know this for a fact, but I really feel like if you are not, and Jeff is not the kind of guy who pushes people around, but if you're not the guy who pushes people around, you get pushed around a little bit, and you kind of get forced to make decisions you don't quite agree with. That's the only explanation I can think of. I hated the Green Lantern movie. Hated it.
Is your name on it?
No, my name's I'm on the Blu-ray. Interview with me, but no, my name isn't on it. That was one of Jeff's first movies when he went over there. I just think it's just a big committee kind of thing. You really do need one big guy in the middle who understands. I mean, look at Wonder Woman again. I mean, that's Patty Jenkins. That's her vision. They let her go, let her do it. She got it right. She hit it out of the park. But these other movies just feel like they're made by committee so much, and sometimes get put into the wrong hands. I don't think who's the guy? What's his name that worked on Justice League and then quit halfway through?
Zack Snyder?
Zack
Zack
Snyder.
Snyder.
Deion Sanders
Not the
directed?
guy. Yeah, he's not the guy for DC. He's just not.
I think Jeff Johns should have called up Richard Donner and asked for help. Maybe he did behind the scenes. Who knows? But
Yeah, I mean, yes. My God, of course.
because see,
you
Donner
imagine
comes from an era where he can tell a story that hits you on a human level. There's no politics and modern garbage.
Can you imagine Richard Donner, Justice League?
Dude, that'd be fucking crazy.
Oh,
What about the George Miller one that was supposed to come out a
Yeah,
couple years
I think
ago?
about the George Miller one all the time, like as a fantasy in my head, like how badass. After Fury Road came out too, it's like fuck. George
Yeah.
Miller still kicks ass. like
yeah.
he can still direct, and he's like 70, and he's like his visuals are better than most directors in their 20s.
Well, I think the thing too is his whole mindset is like he gets into whatever mindset when he has like. So you brought up Mad Max Fury Road. He films those movies as far as like their secondhand story. So it's someone telling the story of Mad Max. Imagine that for a Justice League movie. Like he doesn't tell it from the perspective of the Justice League. Imagine that being told from the perspective of like a citizen. Like that shit would be crazy.
Well, I don't know why they never. Somebody said in the chat, and I think Kevin Smith asked this in the '90s, why they never like brought like Paul Dini in to work on screenplays or anyone who worked on the animated stuff. Because I think the best Justice League stuff for Batman that's been done outside of comics is pretty much Paul Dini and that writing staff and Bruce Timm and those guys. So I don't know. I don't know why they never brought them in to write a script or two. I think that would have been the smart idea for Justice League. But they don't make smart decisions at WB, right? Well, not much. Not at DC. Just like one or two.
No. Midnight Cherry TV, his super chat actually came true. It says, keep Jeremy quiet tonight. Can't do this Bama shit.
Roll
Where
Tide,
is
bitches.
Jeremy?
I'm here. I see the chat going crazy. I'm here. I'm alive. But hey, people were having good discussions. I just was listening.
Oh, bullshit. Step in, man. People want to
I
hear.
tried, Ethan, you 3 times, and you kept talking over me, but you were making the same points I was going to make, so it's okay.
All right, I'll
but
shut up.
I do.
Yeah, don't blame
disagree-
me for that shit.
I do disagree with Ethan on the Avengers immediately tanking. I do, but as far as the SJW stuff and talking about how they will ruin anything and everything, and they don't care about money, they don't. If money shows up for anything that they're doing, they're going to get scared. But all they want to do is put their disease into something, and as soon as they get that disease infected into it, they move on to something else. So that's it.
Well, can we talk about how Ant-Man is essentially a flop?
I don't know if you can call it flop. It still hasn't opened up overseas in many places because of the World Cup. It's performing better than the first movie, and it's a lower tier MCU movie that it's going to do more than Solo by far. So I mean, it's,
I wouldn't. That's not really a mark, though. Oh, it did better. than
again,
Solo.
no. But what I'm saying though is the first Ant-Man did like 500 million worldwide. This one's probably going to do about 500 million worldwide. So you can't call it a flop if it matches the previous one. Plus, it's facing a lot more competition.
Well, I mean,
After Infinity War too. Infinity War.
Look, if it makes exactly, let's just say they both made $500 million. What is it? The net. What's that shit you learned in economics, Dion? The value of money back then compared to the value of money now is different.
Yep.
So it would be just a slightly less of a. I liked the movie fine, but I don't see that.
Not after what, 4 years?
It would be a disappointment, not a bomb, because
Yeah,
I do a
because-
box office analyst show, and that's kind of like what and it would be its net profit would be, at least if it makes 500 million, it should be able to make 80-90 million in net profit, because the first Ant-Man made about 120 in net profit and 519, and the budget to this movie is not much higher. I think the budget to Ant-Man 2 is 170. And it's going to open in China, where the first one made 100 million, and this one has the possibility to make 150, if not more, in China. So you have to factor that in. So just because it had a big second week drop doesn't mean that. I mean, it's going to be one of Marvel's lower grossing films for sure, but it should still be
expected. That's
a
expected.
profitable
Is
film.
it good? I haven't seen it yet.
It's okay.
It is
I liked
good.
it.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
I like
I
it
like
a
the
lot.
trailer a lot.
Well,
But
my-
you have to look. You have Hotel Transylvania. You have Infinity War coming off of Infinity War. You have The Incredibles. You have Jurassic World. There's a shit ton of
Deadpool
competition.
2 was before this too.
Right. So,
Well,
but I
I'm
don't
not
know.
even-
But I don't think Deadpool 2 carries over, because that's not a family. I was talking about family movies, that could be taking away from a lot of the people maybe wanting to go see it or plan on going to see it. But I think Ant-Man 2 is going to be just fine. I think it's gonna be just
Well,
fine.
I'm not even saying that the second weekend drop means it's a flop. What I'm saying is that it's not being talked about as widely as other Marvel flicks. It seems like in a year, 2018 has been a great year for that studio. It feels like this one has already come and gone within 1 week. Like I don't see it having a resurgence.
Well, I think that's it's suffering from being the third Marvel film in the first 7 months.
And it's like I said, it's a lower what is a lower tier than
when has that
Ant-Man?
happened last time? We had 3 in the first 7 months.
Well,
We've never
Marvel's
had it
been on a
before.
run, because last year Spider-Man: Homecoming made 880 million, and Thor: Ragnarok made 853 million, and Guardians 2 made 863 million.
But those
So
are
they
all
had-
major
Ragnarok
players.
was November.
No, I know. I'm just saying they've been on a run, so they might have been due a film that didn't do as well because their last 5 films have all made about $1 billion, and one made $2 billion. So they're printing money. I know that Black Panther's already made 5. They've already said that that's going to be 500 million in net profit, and Infinity War is going to be over 400 million. So they're not really losing any money at all. It's
I mean,
just,
somebody
right now.
somebody tweeted me the other day, and they're like, "Oh, Ant-Man dropped 60-something percent, so all of Disney's franchises are failing." I'm like, the Avengers just made $2 billion. The Incredibles has made about $1 billion, or it's close to $1 billion.
Yeah, it is.
Like Star Wars
months
sucks,
before that.
and we can continue saying Star Wars sucks, big giant donkey balls. But don't try to say that all of Disney's franchises are flopping when the Avengers just made $2 billion. I mean, and what did you said? Black Panther made like 1.5, I think, billion.
1.4 billion. Yeah, and you also got to include the live-action remakes of the animated films. Jungle Book made 965 million, and they have Jon Favreau's Lion King coming out. That's a guaranteed $1 billion movie. So, and Beauty and the Beast made 1.
Beyonce. I'm boycotting because of Beyonce. Fuck that movie.
So Disney just right now in general is like printing money and wiping their ass with it.
Well, I think the other thing too is you got to realize it's fucking Ant-Man. Like outside, like there's a reason. Ant-Man is a C-level player. Even in this, even if you're talking about the movie franchise, like he's, again, like I said, I really enjoyed the movie. But you're talking who else is on par outside of Wasp? Fucking Hawkeye. Fucking
No other
Black
Marvel
Widow,
character has a
who don't have
low
movies?
movie. Yeah, they're all
right. So he's not even so. The crux of Ant-Man is he needs Hank Pym like that. Like so, and again, it's not. I don't think it's more so that the movie's bad. Again, it's just like this is more of an example of Marvel's poor timing this late in the game more than it is the movie being bad.
Well, I think
I think they should have done a team-up thing.
Well, you remember how
sorry.
you remember how they put Robert
a good
Downey
idea.
Jr. Robert Downey Jr. all in Homecoming, and I was like, I don't think that's gonna hurt or any. It's not gonna help much because it's Spider fucking Man. But like they could have put our Robert Downey Jr. as a cameo, taken that money and put it into Ant-Man, and that would have elevated it with the marketing and pulled more people in theater. But yeah, I mean,
the Hulk with Thor.
Yeah, Ant-Man was never
Hulk
going
with
to.
Thor and Ragnarok.
Yeah, Ant-Man's never going to do more than $600 million. It just isn't. So it's par for the course. It's exactly what they expected, I would think.
I was saying it just seems like the hype is non-existent for this movie. It wasn't there when it came out, and it just never.
And that's possible. Yeah, and I think
you're
a lot of that.
You're not going to overshow Ant-Man and the Wasp versus Infinity War. It was.
Well, I'm not even comparing the two, but I'm just saying there are other
months
movies that have come.
afterwards.
But I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there are other movies that have come out that are non-Marvel movies or non-Disney films that have had better legs. It just like it seems like this movie came quicker than it went, or it went quicker than it came. It's just like boom, it's gone. Like nobody is like, oh, Ant-Man. No, nothing. There's nothing even to do with the movie anymore.
Well, like I said, I think
what franchise movie has gone through the same thing but performed better is my only point.
Oh, I think a lot of it has to do with the Incredibles too. People waited 15 years for this movie. That took all of the
8 days later.
That took all of the attention, and plus you had Jurassic World right in that, like 2 mega franchises. Jurassic World's already over $1 billion. The Incredibles, people waited 15 years, and then you got Ant-Man. Ant-Man's not going to outshine those 2 franchises. It's just not going to happen.
We talked about it on the show. It should have been in November, and even so, fucking like I would love to know what other franchise. And again, Marvel's is kind of an outlier. What other franchises had a sequel come out fucking 3 months later? That was an insane gamble.
You think it's like overexposure of the Marvel brand close together?
Yes.
People are like burnt out on Marvel because everyone saw 2 movies in a row. That makes sense. I think there's validity to that. I also think the Wasp just wasn't that great of a marketing tool like they thought it would be, and Evangeline Lilly.
That
I
should
just
go to
don't
show
think
them,
as many-
though, that Captain Marvel and stuff like that, they're going to get the same numbers, if not less, depending on how they market this and how we're
Because no one
treated.
knows
in
who they
the
are.
press. Well,
I agree.
People don't know the characters too, but if you come off as very adversarial towards the fans, like, oh, it's time for this and it's time for that, and we're going to teach you guys a lesson and this, that, and the other, people are just going to say, fuck this movie, I don't know the character. So they're just going to walk on. Wonder Woman had the benefit of 70 years of nostalgia, not Captain Marvel. Carol Manvers, this new version, Ethan, 5 or 6 years ago, she debuted with the weird haircut and the shitty suit.
It was more recently than that. Yeah, she's getting weirder and weirder and more manly over the last 3 years.
I gotta watch the new Diversity in Comics video. I'm behind on his stuff. He covered something I
Oh
really
my
want to
god,
talk about.
He's all over this. He's all over this Carl Manvers character and the weird agenda, where her chest, you can't draw boobs anymore. You can't draw delicious, wonderful female breasts anymore. You're not allowed to do that. You have to draw this kind of uni boob that sort of looks like a grilled cheese sandwich underneath their. It's like it's not delineated or defined. It's just this kind of ridge that's underneath. It's gotten really, really strange. I mean, social justice warriors have gotten into comics. I've been told to, even when I was working at DC Comics, people would say, "Hey, too much cleavage. Zip up that woman's top." I'd be like, "What the? What is this? How is this comics? How is this current year comics?" In the 90s, when I was working in comics, all the time, everybody was drawing ass shots. Everyone was drawing boobs all the time. I mean, that's what comics were. Comics were meant to be like that. They were transgressive. They were fun. They were kind of dirty. They were naughty. They were violent. They were, at the very least, highly suggestive. You can't do that anymore. I don't know what these comic books are.
Well, I think too that the other thing too, to go off that point, to further prove your point, in the 90s, the dudes were drawn that way too. They were super muscular and the suits were super fucking tight. Like people who pretend that, oh, they just draw women suggestively. No, the fucking guy suits were fucking tight and it was ultra muscular. It wasn't like they were specifically aiming for chicks, but it was like, hey, all of our characters are accentuated, and it's just
dynamic.
Weird now.
Yeah. Well, the dudes in the movies, like every movie, a dude takes his shirt off in a Marvel film, and chicks all want to like have sex with Thor and Captain America, and they have a female. That's not like accidental,
right?
But they say it's sexist because we like Scarlett Johansson's ass or something.
Yeah, like that's the whole Star Trek controversy pissed me off when Alice Eve, they're like, oh, this and that when she took off her. I'm like, it was a gratuitous TNA shot. Oh well, we had to watch Thor every time. I don't bitch about that, so but yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
we are super behind. Sorry, folks. Somebody even sent in $50, and I cannot. I don't want you guys to forget or think I'm forgetting about you. So, a Catholic soldier said, "Work won't be on tonight. Wanted to donate. Thank you very much." Rhino4563 said, "Mark Hamill was on SNL in 1997, a home shopping network skit." And then Cole Ween corroborated that and said Mark Hamill was on SNL in 97 with Will Ferrell. Logan Michael, thank you for your super chat. I think we can all agree on air. We'll say no. If you had to kill Kathleen Kennedy, would you? We can't say that type of shit on air. I'm sorry. They'll shut us down and say we're a hate mob. The Pui. Jeff, if you let Ethan borrow a shirt, do you think it'll come back stretched out? I don't know. No, Ethan's not that big. Arc Trooper Knox. Love Jeremy, but it's great watching him get roasted harder than Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. Glory be to the High Council. Well, make sure you guys are on Geeks and Gamers on Friday night for that, because I am going to be very testy towards Jeremy on Friday nights, the Force Awakens stream.
Hey, I'm thinking 9 Central. What's that time for you? That's 10.
10 o'clock, that's fine.
Let's do 8 Central. 8 Central, if that works. I know you had some stuff going on, Jeff, that night. So whatever, if that works for you.
I'm good, man. Whatever works for you. You were here for me last week. I'll be there for you this week, and I'll hold your hand to the internet.
Works. I love it.
Yeah, 8 Central then, Friday night. 8 Central, 9 Eastern, everyone.
Benny Warren says, who wears the pants between Kylo Ren and Rey?
No, Kylo has the high-waisted pants. So...
I can't. That seems
Mean
so
Ben
weird.
Solo?
It's so terrible. It's
Yeah,
awful.
talk about gratuitous topless men shots. That one. That doesn't even
Yeah.
fit Star Wars.
No,
Thank you.
it was awful.
That was so ridiculous. Like, oh,
And it's sexless. It's like a weird, awkward. Like I guess it's supposed to be like Ray's like, oh, look at him shirtless and all that. But I remember just like, this is awkward. Like it's like a child. Like
not only that, but you have a grown woman who can't even portray uncomfortability in the right way. Like she's like, could you put a shirt on? I'm like, I don't fucking believe that shit. Just stop. Just quit your job in this movie right the fuck now. Like no human reacts that way.
The best was the how it should have ended version, where Kylo's sitting on the toilet and she sees him. He's like, little privacy, please. It's great.
he's jerking off. She's like, oh shit.
Moreth Dialine says, well, Jeremy said something about sports. Banished from the High Council. You guys are joking. That's the truth, though. Because Reason says, once again, the only pilot to survive 2 Death Star runs, same guy. It's not Luke. It's not Han. It's definitely not Port. And that just ends right there. Okay. Laura Ryan Stole My Fan Fiction Story says, it was Snap Wexley's mom in the Y-Wing. A girl. I don't get that reference. I apologize. Oh my God, these just rolled down. Give me a second, guys. I apologize for slowing the show down. Okay. Gold 5 is Davish Krail. DV kills him after he bails. Okay. Thank you, Bernard Babinski. That came from Bernard Babinski. I didn't realize that one. American Trent 007 says, enjoying the shit show while watching Thunderball, the first single from the band World Class Bullshitters. Missed Money Pussy by Dion Green. Background piano, Jeff Hicks.
WCBS in the house, Money Pusher.
Sire J. Longstroke says, I brought some Star Wars figures with me to China, clones and battle droids. Even my Chinese friends noticed that the Trade Federation guys look and dress like ancient Chinese scholars. I never picked up on that. I guess I was ignorant to that at 10 years old. Bernard Babinski also says, Kian Farlander survives Yevon in the Y-Wing. Okay, did not know that either. Dion, there we go. We'll watch Star Wars again, but now we don't have to know the answer to that question.
Exactly.
Kevathar 1138, thank you. EVS, my 1-year-old daughter is learning good music at a young age. She started dancing when I was was humming old time rock and roll. She is also smart. She stopped when I started singing it.
Nice.
Damn, that's your daughter roasting you, son.
Robin the Tactician Boy says it hurts to be born the same day The Last Jedi came out.
Damn.
How is he typing? He's only a couple months old.
Either that or his son came out fucking hating his goddamn guts.
Laura Ryan Stole My Fan Fiction Story says Nora Wexley was in the Y-Wing. Her son is Snap, episode 7. The Riva Kissed 2790 says Ahsoka has gone SJW. Jeremy, is that true? You're the Ahsoka expert on this panel.
They may be talking about Ashley Eckstein's interview that she did with Collider, which I haven't seen, but
That's
outside
bullshit.
of that, I
She
don't.
said, if it's not a positive comment, we will shut the conversation down. Who the fuck are you to shut?
Did she say that?
Yes, verbatim.
Oh,
That's
God.
her dialogue. That shit
Yeah,
can go-
she's kind of
Hmm.
jumped the shark here. I think it's because
It's that bubble, man. It's that bubble.
Yeah.
It's just like EVS was talking about with Feige, it's like a cult. They just keep converting people.
well, I think she got a little bit of heat after what's his name, Freddie Prinze Jr. started going after people on Twitter too, and it's just like, woman, you know damn well Ahsoka's cool because she was on her own doing cool shit. Don't play like it was. Oh, it's because she's a girl. It's like, shut the fuck up. It was a cool fucking character.
Nobody gives a flying fuck what Ahsoka is, other than she's a great character. She's a great character, and everybody has
Turn down the Jedi.
Yeah. They have to always marginalize it down to race and sex and gender and whatever fits their check marks for social justice. It's such bullshit.
Well, she even said something like, "Well, it's the best time to be a woman in fandom. It's finally open to women," or something along those lines. I'm like, huh?
Finally open to women. Shut the fuck up.
And that's why people like us kind of get perplexed by these statements. It's like, it's always been this way. I don't get why all of a
That's
sudden.
what I'm saying. Like, you believe it all the time. So you know that when Clone Wars came out in what 2011, that shit, she was a huge part of that.
Yeah, well, they do that with females in general. Like in the 40s and 50s, there was prominent, strong female characters in most Hollywood movies, and they act like it's some new thing they just invented in media the last 10 years.
Well, they play off the amount. It's always the amount.
Yeah.
Pat themselves on the back.
It's always the narrative overrides the truth, and the victimhood overrides the truth. So when there's one or two comments online where one person that doesn't even have an avatar and has 3 followers says something bad about women, every mainstream site will screenshot that and then try to build the narrative around that as that's all fans. Yet when Ahsoka came back on Rebels and the entire fucking internet that watched Star Wars went crazy, I didn't see J.J. Abrams prance out there with his fucked up looking nose talking about like, hey, it's really great that we have all of these Star Wars fans that are celebrating a female character comeback. We didn't hear Ryan Johnson highlight that. We didn't hear Ashley Eckstein highlight that. None of them want to highlight it.
Son.
Right. They don't want to highlight it when it's positive. Only when the Twitter account with 5 followers and no avatar says something, and that's all Star Wars fans.
Listen. I said it before. I'll say it again. Those specific people brought up Ahsoka. Why? Because they think she sells. They want to carry that name to sell the fucking brand. Again, 10 years ago, and again, Ahsoka's an old character now. She's almost 10 years old. And now it's becoming a big deal because, again, they think she sells.
Well, she does sell.
We know that.
Right.
The motherfuckers who write articles on Voss and all these other bullshit fucking articles, they're jumping on the bandwagon now. We were watching her when she was fucking fighting Grievous 10 years ago. Like, we know this. Fans know this. Again, it's a bandwagon thing. They don't believe it all the time. They think she's going to sell fucking, tickets and figures.
But she's also a shield too. She's a way for them to get their ideals out there. Like, oh, we can use Ahsoka to promote this because I think you're like 70% of the way there, Dion, with the she sells. They can use that, but they can also use glom onto her and get something out on top of that too. So they'll make her a sacrificial type of thing.
But she also presents a problem for their narrative too, because the more she's out there and the more she's accepted by the audience, the more they can't play their victim card too. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they won't do that. I'm just saying it also hurts their narrative.
I agree with that. I'm just again, my point being always being, they don't believe it all the time. It's about money, and they want to sell it. It's universal. It's all over it. They want to sell that shit, and it's again, they'll preach it till the fucking sun sets. They want to sell Ahsoka. It's inevitable. The shit's gonna happen. You'll see it in a few fucking months where they already they show her in Rebels. It'll be some random Ahsoka bullshit. It's gonna happen, man.
Well, speaking of what's going to happen, we're going to read some more of these because we are literally an hour behind. So I apologize. Hematalos says people who are butt mad about SJW vid need to get back and listen to what EVS actually said. I think EVS
That's what I said. And I didn't even see the video yet. So.
Yeah, me neither. Jaron Ricewig says, I just got back from vacation in the Nashville area where I saw A New Hope with a live orchestra. It was my first good Star Wars movie in a theater.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to see A New Hope. It was a special edition, but still, that was my first Star Wars in a theater, too. It was breathtaking. Samuel Aragon said, George Lucas probably thought racism was like gender and was fluid. Shout out to Basil, who introduced me to this, and that swole mofo. Michael Hunting said, Mark Hamill fears being blacklisted by Disney. Well, Mark Hamill could really just put his faith in the fans, and I think if he fought kicking and screaming and never back down from that opinion, the fans would be super behind him and could definitely make his life a lot easier. Like, he could go to conventions and make a bunch of money and do shit that way. High Recluse Art Grimaldus says, no, Ethan, don't eat the butter in my fridge. That's my nut butter. Hey, guys, how's it going? Welcome, please, the wine.
Terrible.
Lord Bringer of Salt says, keep the change, you filthy animal. Thank you, Lord Bringer of Salt.
Nice reference.
And here's a question that you can answer, Jeremy. Will Anna be on the High Council at some point? That comes from Xair. Does it air?
Yes, she will. She will be with me tomorrow when we do the interview with Rebel Force Radio, and so yeah, definitely, that's definitely on the table. It's just a moving, rotating schedule we have. And we don't really talk much about who we're gonna have on. We just kind of see what works for everyone. So yeah, definitely, she's on the short list.
Rhino 4563. Jar Jar was responsible for a bunch of CGI characters: King Kong, Planet of the Apes, Gollum, and TLOR, and Marvel and DC. He was a prototype. Yeah, so much like the special edition was the prototype for Jar Jar existing, because that's the reason George gave for a lot of the weird CGI in Mos Eisley, was to see if a digital character was completely viable. But I still don't think that's going to be enough to let history think of Jar Jar Binks as this groundbreaking character. Do you guys think that?
No, I agree with that for sure.
Because Reason says, I thought Trek fans were crazy. Where's my stormtrooper suit? Sorry. Where's my stormtrooper suit so I can shoot Jake Skywalker?
Damn, dude.
I know, right? Now you know why I laughed.
Damn.
Sentence. Real quick, shout out to everyone who stuck with us. We've stayed over 1,600 almost the entire show. So thank you to everyone. I hope we have 1,600 likes. Right, Jeremy? What do you do? Smash the like button? Is that what we tell them?
They've changed it now, so it's what is it? They say
Like
the smash button. Yeah, like the smash button or lick the like button. They've got all these different ways they say it now on my live stream. So
either put butter on that like button if you lick it. Let's see. The River Crest also said, "Thank you. The best Star Wars stories weren't made by Lucas." Do you guys agree with that?
Definitely not.
No.
The first one?
David N said the prequel stereotypes are 30s, e.g. Amos and Andy. So they're really old stereotypes that George Lucas brought back.
Right. I agree.
Yakness Yoshi says, has The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi ruining the legacy of the old characters affecting your ability to enjoy the OT now? If so, how do you deal with it?
Fuck no. Bitch, listen.
Calm down.
I could watch the cantina scene over and fucking over. As much as I fucking hate Rey, I fucking hate Poe Dameron, I hate purple hair bitch Magutta tits. I hate them all. I could watch the originals non-goddamn stuff. Jeff and I get into arguments till this fucking day because we love it so much. I don't give a fuck about the new stuff. Fuck them.
For me, it's kind of hard to watch Return of the Jedi knowing that Luke has achieved all this stuff and then throws it away. Han Solo achieves this stuff
I pretend the same way that they treated the EU. I pretend that it's a different canon. I just pretend that the EU is a different thing.
I don't let the like. All right, so obviously the Last Jedi has destroyed any love I had for The Force Awakens. But outside of that, I don't let these movies affect anything that came before it. I won't allow it. I can't allow it because that would give them too much power. You know what I mean? I'll let them eat their own, but I'm not going to let them eat what came before it and what they tried to build their nonsense off of.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the OT is a self-contained story, so I don't think it's that hard to separate it. You can just watch the original trilogy, and you don't have to think about the other movies if you want to. So I don't think it's that. Like Empire is one of my 10 favorite movies, so that's not going to change because Last Jedi was a piece of shit.
Yeah, Star Wars is still my second favorite movie of all time, so I guess I do agree with that. It does bother me in the back of my mind knowing that's what comes next.
It's kind of like I told you with Spider-Man 2 versus Spider-Man 3. You know, like some movies can affect things. I guess like Spider-Man 3 doesn't hurt Spider-Man 2 for me at all.
But
you know what I mean?
The thing is, Spider-Man 3, while it's a very bad movie, it's not the dumpster fire that The Last Jedi is. They don't change.
Right.
They don't change Spider-Man fundamentally. They change Luke Skywalker fundamentally, and it's just unforgivable.
That's true.
Well, I think they got a character wrong. They got, Symbiote Peter wrong as opposed to The Last Jedi got everything wrong. Previous characters, they got them wrong. It's just a fucking shit pile of bullshit.
What makes Last Jedi unique is that Rian Johnson's saying in the movie, fuck you to the fans. I mean, it's in the dialogue, kill the past. I mean, and he's made this clear on Twitter. Part of the subtext of the movie is a commentary on the franchise and fans. And I can't think of another franchise that's done that in the same way. Like Spider-Man 3 didn't do that. Like Last Jedi's legit a middle finger. to us as fans and to people like us who like Star Wars our way, he's giving us the finger in a lot of ways. That's
And
how I
Sam-
felt watching the movie several times.
And Sam Raimi has apologized for Spider-Man 3
Yep.
multiple times on record. I'm not saying he has to, but Joel Schumacher apologized for Batman and Robin.
Yes.
People have let that one go. Now Batman and Robin is just a bad joke. Maybe they say time heals all wounds. I don't know about The Last Jedi. It's the most antagonistic piece of shit ever put on film or digital or whatever it was shot on. It just doesn't bring any positivity to anybody.
Oh, it's gonna burn. It's gonna burn. And again, everyone that defends it, and again, Force Awakens, the rose-colored glasses, I get that, but the fucking Last Jedi, and you have so many holes, you have so many shitty character developments. I'd say fucking 10 years from now, you're gonna have the same reaction that you had from the Phantom Menace. I would bet my asshole on that.
I agree. I said that on my live stream the Friday after I saw it. I said I think this is probably how Mike or the Red Letter Media guys felt when they talked about seeing Phantom Menace. Like, I never understood because I was a kid when that movie came out. But walking out of Last Jedi, I was like, oh, this is what it's like. And I also, I just think I honestly can't think of another thing to compare Last Jedi to. I've never seen something that's been such a fuck you to a fan base and a franchise in my entire life. Like, I can't think of something that's equivalent to it. Like, it's insane. Like, that he even got to make it.
It's one of a kind, baby. It's this weird, like, it's almost like we're in a fucking
Twilight
different
Zone.
universe that Star Trek used to do, where it's like, oh, here's Star Wars, but it's the Star Wars that you'll never like, and it's also going to have the creators fighting you on it. It's a weird time to be a Star Wars fan. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This fucking weird belief by Rian Johnstein that they've done something. Like, bitch, you've won a Saturn Award. That's the epitome of what you've won so far. You didn't win an Academy Award, you didn't win a Golden Globe, you won a Saturn Award, bitch. Like, that's it. And you think that you've made it? Shut the fuck up. Yeah.
All right, Christopher Burkle said George Lucas has been anti-fan since he started desecrating the original trilogy while refusing to cater to fans who just want the unaltered version. Now, I want to chime in on this one first. I think the special edition has a lot of merits to it. I don't think he should be able to hide the original trilogy, but I think, like Blade Runner, you should be able to get all cuts, because Ethan can understand this point, at least from where I'm coming from. Ethan's drawn professionally for years. I've drawn a lot. There is shit that you put out that you look back and you go, maybe if I could fix that or redraw the eye or do this, that, and here and there, I'd like to fix it. Lucas went a little crazy with that, where he wanted to fix like the matte shot here or the special effect shot here or this explosion here. I get all that. But when you're adding rocks into R2-D2 and all that crap, he's definitely gone crazy. But I do understand why he went back and did certain things in the first place. I guess because there are things that I wish I could go back and redo. Like a lot of old episodes.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. There are dumb things, though, especially in Return of the Jedi. Darth Vader's no, all that crap. So
yes.
What do you guys think? Do you think he was anti-fan do you think he was actually antagonizing the fan base with the special editions, or do you think that he was... There's also that rumor, too, that he altered it enough so Marsha wouldn't get her cut of whatever. Do you think he's actively antagonizing fans, or did it start from a different place?
I think George Lucas created something and he had no idea how big it was going to become. And it became the biggest thing ever. And he watched it after the fact and saw a lot of things he wanted to change. And he made those changes when he had the resources to make those changes. Now, how he handled it after the fact, that you can say that was a problem and a lot of people didn't like it. My stance on it is the man created this stuff for us, can do with it what he likes, and it's up to us if we wanted to continue to support it or not. And people to continue to support it and fund everything he was doing and make Star Wars the biggest brand in the world. But yeah, I mean, there are some issues with some of the things he did, but I've never, he created it. He can do whatever he wants, and we can either support it or we can't. We have the money as individuals, and if we want to support it, we can, and if we don't, we won't. And every time he brought a new edition out on Blu or on VHS, we ate it up. We bought all the toys. So the market determines the market. That's how I look at it.
Pat?
Well, yeah, for me, it was like, I mean, it's tough because, I make independent films and I'm kind of an artist. And one of the issues when you make something is you see a lot of the faults with it and you want to fix things. and every time you watch it, you see things other people probably didn't notice. So I get that George Lucas had that with the original trilogy, but at the same time, I think it's almost really dangerous to change like to affect the history of it. Like part of the reason I loved the original trilogy when I was a kid on VHS was like, oh cool, they did the special effect in 1977. This is really impressive for the same way King Kong looks impressive for 1933. So changing it, not letting us have the original version, I think kind of is a bad thing for film history, that you get to go back and appreciate effect in the context of the year it came out. So that's my biggest issue with it. Is I don't like that in general. I don't like you going into it's not necessarily the walkie-talkie shotgun thing with ET, but you know, maybe he wants to fix the Ewoks' eyes. Maybe something like that makes a little bit of sense to me because they don't move and it looks a little weird. But adding the singing alien in Return of the Jedi, it's like that was something you wanted to do in 1983. Okay, I don't.
And the Jabba the Hutt scene in A New Hope is just worthless.
Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't add. It's like editing. Sometimes editing in the film you end up making not the one you wanted to make ends up being better. That's one of the weird things about making stuff, is because you're working with multiple people. Sometimes the product that comes out isn't what you envisioned, and it ends up being more interesting because of that. Because things happen. Films are happy accidents. Great films, most of the time. And I think a lot of the great stuff in Star Wars is just fortunate that a bunch of talented people work together on the original trilogy. And I think it devalues a little bit of that work the special effects artist did when he doesn't let us see it in like Blu-ray quality that they did then. Because when you're replacing it with new special effects, it's like, well, that kind of takes away what these guys did back then that worked hours and hours on this stuff. So that bothers me. But I don't know if it was anti-fan. I think it was just maybe some narcissism and him doing what he wants with what he owns. I don't know if he did it to like piss the fans off. I'm not sure.
George Pleo said, the only Star Wars I see is 4 through 6. A lot of people would agree with you there, George, or Jorge, excuse me. Because reasons. George trusted people with their creative developments. How can you not get caught up in that? Keep it going. John Smith said, you're being too productive in your conversation. There isn't a reason to super chat. So just because, here's a super chat. Biotechnist, George Lucas is a skilled concept creator, but not a writer. You can tell more than one person wrote the script. Brilliant concept, but clearly not him. Comrade Commodore, going to my grave saying Hayden is getting too much hate. He did exactly what George wanted him to do.
I've said that shit for years.
And you're still wrong. I just fuck with you
too, bitch.
I know, right? It's our best buddies. High Recluse Yard Grimalda says, and welcome, Mr. Dion Green.
Thank you, sir.
Evil Ash 3373 says the new She-Ra is a trap. Acid Blade 21 says, Ethan, once you watch 200 plus anime titles, you will start to be able to tell the age difference between characters. Bagel, yeah, I think so. He must be draining the lizard. Bagel says, wait, She-Ra is a trap now? Did I miss something? Because Reason says, I had a He-Man onesie. Adrius Farrington, thank you very much for your generous super chat. EVS, the common child wouldn't know Masters of the Universe, but some parents who grew up with that child might show their kids Masters of the Universe show. Sierra Whiskey 186 said, you guys want to make SJW's Cry support Comicsgate. Yeah, I bought Cyberfrog. Mark Baggio, thank you for your super chat. I'm listening to this while proudly wearing my Tico a Soy Wars shirt, even though I accidentally bought a women's style. The plot's super effeminate, but it's kind of made it funnier. Oh, EVS dropped.
Oh, we lost him? Yep.
Midnight Cherry TV. Jeremy and Pat, have you seen the film Mystery Men? God damn it. Midnight Cherry TV.
That's old school. I saw it a long time ago. I'm a big fan. And I mean, Ben Stiller and William H. Macy. I'm a big fan of William H. Macy. Anything he's in, I'm happy. So there's that line where he's blind date. We got a blind date with Destiny. She ordered the lobster. Pretty damn funny stuff. It's been a long time. But Ben Stiller and William H. Macy is always a home run for me.
Agreed.
I saw that shit in the theater, man. Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's some. I was answering the super chats, and you couldn't hear me, so I stepped out and stepped back in.
Okay.
We're glad to have you back, Uncle Ehe.
Thank you.
Pat, you saw that in theaters? So did I.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters when I was a kid. Yeah, and I still think it's awesome. I still think
I actually need to watch it again. Yeah.
Like,
Maybe
because
we'll-
it came out before Kick-Ass and a lot of that stuff, and it was. I mean, they actually had superpowers, but yeah, it was that kind of that idea, like Jackass is going out trying to be superheroes.
Yeah, that was.
And I remember Pee Wee
Kick-Ass.
Herman being in it as the spleen. Made me laugh a lot when I was young.
Oh, Pee Wee. I used to love that show. Because Reason says, I bet the Femme t-shirts are more comfy. Deshandre Morant. SJW's always confused me how does a movement so willing to cannibalize itself care so little about its overall survival. Continue, it baffles the mind. Young Dark Vader says, tell the guy talking to respect Uncle Ethan. I think he means you, Dion. You have to respect Uncle Ethan.
Oh yeah, I ain't sorry, bitch.
Biotechna says, can I get a shout out for my book Children of the Moon Luna Orientum, and what's the High Council's take on the Ahsoka movie, because I'd pay money to see that. So folks, check out the book Children of the Moon Luna Orientum. You can, Biotechna, feel free to post a link over in the World Class Bullshitters Facebook page. And guys, would you see an Ahsoka movie?
I think we all would see it, but I think we're all going to say that under the current creative direction at Lucasfilm, we don't want it to happen right now.
Yeah.
And if I'm not speaking for everyone, please correct me. But
No, I don't want to see it. I have no interest in seeing that. That sounds like a bad idea.
Mitch says, long march through the institutions. Critius says, if you haven't already, don't forget to check out EVS Cyberfrog on Indiegogo. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Little plug for Cyberfrog.
John Smith said, to add to the money question, look at the quality of the Nathan Fillion Uncharted short that was just released. Have you guys had a chance to see that?
No.
I have not, but we do have it covered on geeksandgamers.com. Shameless plug. But I will be checking it out later.
You are the Mick Foley of the cheap pops, so
It's great to be here in geeksandgamers.com, Pensacola, Florida. Woo, cheap pops. Love the cheap pops.
because reasons. Thank you. Have you? By the way, thank you to everyone. If I don't say thank you after everyone, know you're thanked. Have you seen any of Sword Art Online? I suppose I should make sure there are enough tomatoes. I don't care. I liked it. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
Oh,
I think there's a video game that Dan plays, but I've never watched it. I'm not a big anime guy. Like on the morning show, a lot of people say, Jeff, what's your favorite anime? And I say Lupin the Third and Golgo 13, because that's kind of all I've really watched outside. I like Cowboy Bebop too, so I'm not the most anime savvy guy out there.
yeah. People ask me about anime all the time on Geeks and Gamers. We cover it at Geeks and Gamers. I don't know anything about it. I've seen Ninja Scroll as the only anime I've ever seen, and I enjoyed it. So that's it.
Obi-Wan 27883 says the High Council hashtag more profitable than Disney Star Wars with just this chat. Do you remember the hashtag more profitable than Disney Star Wars? That was one of the best nights of the High Council. We were
Yes.
rolling. Oh
That
my
was
god!
great.
I wish we could get that going again.
That was great.
Party Elm Civvy, thank you very much. Making She-Ra into a trap/femboy is very progressive. Jokes aside, I await God's judgment, vaporizing Hollywood, or a return to quality media, I guess. Steele Johnson says, welcome, Dion. Because Reasons chimes in with, by the way, Revenge of the Scarjo will be because Reasons. Bagel Goose says, I fell asleep during Get Out. SGT Low, or Sergeant Low, says, they're called limousine liberals. I've never heard that phrase before. Is that like a lipstick lesbian?
I've heard limousine liberals before.
I don't even get too much into politics in my personal life because I just don't care. Like this whole thing that's going on right now, which is everywhere, it's just been way too much for me to enjoy Facebook.
I follow politics, but I don't. I try not to discuss it publicly too much.
Yeah, it's not good for the channels, honestly. This doesn't benefit anyone.
Mm-mm.
Redbeard, Roll Tide, Jeremy, nice avatar. PC is better than Nintendo.
I halfway like your super chat.
John Smith says, Wonder Woman, good movie. However, the praise is overrated simply because the film is only great in comparison to the current low standards. Is that too harsh?
I disagree. I loved one, and I can't stand the DCEU, but I loved Wonder Woman. It was just great on its own. I had low expectations for it, but even on rewatches, I thoroughly enjoy that film. Thoroughly enjoy it.
I used to say that Wonder Woman, I liked it enough to buy it on Blu-ray, and then the other day I realized I own a copy of BVS, the Ultimate Edition on Blu-ray, because it was $3.
Yeesh.
Yeah, I know. I made a mistake. Don't worry. I'll admit to it. Everybody gets one. My point is, I think Wonder Woman was a pretty solid flick, but I don't like when people say it's the first female action or first female superhero film because Supergirl came out in '84 and then Catwoman came out. So, third time was the charm in that regard.
No, I agree completely with that. I mean, the noise surrounding it, I try to not let, and sometimes it does change my perception of things. Like, for instance, Black Panther, it was hard to ignore the noise. I thoroughly enjoyed Black Panther, but the noise surrounding the movie was just almost too much to take. So I get it, though, but sometimes when noise surrounds movies, you can't help but let it kind of affect your way you view it, I guess. So.
100%, dude. Like Dion and I said, Black Panther was a little heavy-handed, but man, people made it out. His sister made it out to be more than it really was, and they, and they're buddies. So, let's see, where was I? Samuel Aragon says, EVS, buy a few bolts for the trebuchet from me.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sergeant Lowe says, let's get the horses after the SJWs. Well, we can't get the horses after the SJWs while Dion's here because Dion doesn't like horses. Now, here's a good one I wish we would have got or read earlier from Dylan Kerbal. He's right. SJWs equal anti-commerce. See Atlas Shrugged. Were you guys informed with the whole Ayn Rand thing?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the idea that, once society has become and business has become so overwhelmed with SJW-ism in this day and age, some people who actually are producers and not takers should just walk away and do their own comic book called Cyberfrog. And that is the entire point of Ayn Rand. Now, I'm not saying that I am what's that guy's name again in the character in the book? God damn it! When I'm reaching for a reference and I can't find it, it drives me nuts. Chat, John Galt. Thank you. I'm not saying I am John Galt, but I'm not saying that I'm not, and that's the whole thing. So thank you.
I wonder what Ditko would say about some of this stuff. I'm not saying all of a sudden because he's dead, I'm this huge Ditko fan. Liked him when he was alive too, but he was a huge disciple of Ayn Rand and the whole objectivism or objectivist movement.
Yeah, Steve Ditko and I would have been great friends. Great friends.
He just seems so unlikable. But anyway, I'm not going to speak ill of the dead. No, I like Steve Ditko's work. I'm not here to shit on him. I don't know. The rumor
so unlikable.
The rumor is though that he was offered his Spider-Man check and he turned it down. I would not turn down, a movie check or something like that. I don't get it.
He didn't care. Like he created Spider-Man, and then had nothing to do with it. I mean, it's like he got no credit. You got Stan Lee marching around there. I created all this, and Steve Ditko said, "That's not me. I'm not going to live. I got ripped off. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't. I'm not going to live my life as a clown show." And he lived with quiet dignity his whole life. I admire him, even though I never met him, never spoke to him, don't know anything. I've never heard him speak. I admire the way he lived his life. I think that was kind of an interesting approach to being confronted with creating a multi-billion dollar character idea and receiving a pittance for it. What do? Do you just walk around and accept whatever gets thrown your way? Here's $1 million here, $1 million there. When you created Spider-Man, yeah, I mean, you might want to just say, all right, well, the world is not what I thought it was, and I am going to become a recluse who creates Speedball later in the late 80s, and that sucked.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this last week, but we got sidetracked with, Star Wars. Did you see... this comes from Gerlach 1025. Did you see that Marvel is now licensing to IDW? I did see that.
What are they licensing?
Is it the child-friendly Spider-Man book that's coming out? Hold on, let me pull up. Let me Google that real quick.
Holy God, what a disaster that is! IDW.
Yeah, it is.
Marvel millions of dollars.
Here we go. Marvel teams with IDW to make comics for kids. And Spider-Man is what's happening first.
Good. Do it.
So a very poorly drawn Spider-Man where they alter the costume to piss me off is being launched from IDW.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea. That'll fix everything. IDW is millions and millions of dollars in debt. They're hemorrhaging money. They ruin every franchise they touch. Their staff are total and complete assholes on Twitter. Go ahead, give them a Spider-Man comic and say it's for kids. That'll work. That'll work because you want to divide the audience. That's the best thing to do. When you're hemorrhaging readers and the industry itself is losing 6.5% of its sales in 2017, 10% in 2016, and complete collapse is imminent. The right thing to do is to actually target certain groups of fans rather than try the shotgun blast approach that Cyberfrog is trying. And that Comicsgate is trying. Yeah, just target specific minority groups of fans. That's a surefire way to riches, isn't it? Hey, we only want the kids. We only want the little tiny kids because we know that most of fandom in comics are little tiny children. So let's give them a Spider-Man book that is stupid and talks down to them. We'll see how it goes. And then we're going to put IDW in charge of it. So if they don't like it, IDW will be calling 8-year-olds Nazis any day now. Get ready.
Bagel Goose says, hey, Dion, remember The Force Awakens?
Oh, fuck you.
Megatron 0541 says, Marvel has already announced that Phase 4 will be majority female. So, yeah, we knew that, Dion.
Don't doubt me.
He said it in an article for Ant-Man and Wasp. He didn't say it for anything.
Get ready. It's
taken
coming.
Out of context. Again, if he says it outside of an interview for Ant-Man and Wasp, then I'll believe you bullshit.
I'll pull up some articles for you
I'm
tomorrow.
telling you.
Okay.
It's
All right,
coming.
motherfuckers. We gonna see. If it's as close as you think, we gonna see.
We're gonna see.
Joe Maroney says, if they screw up Infinity War 2, then Thanos was right. Chicken Sith says, wrong. Ethan is right. It wasn't the bank they waited for. It was the audience. SJWs care about influence, not cash flow.
Correct.
Now, somebody sent in a super chat for $50 that says message retracted, but I originally tried to look at it a moment ago. It said something like, thank you, whatever. So if you're still listening, thank you for at least attempting to send that. And even though you took it back, no problem, but we appreciate it anyway. Xayer says, if Holdo survived and Carrie Fisher was still alive, we would have gotten our first lesbian sex scene in Star Wars Episode 9. Or would we have gotten our first lesbian sex scene in Star Wars Episode 9?
It was looking that way, wasn't it? With that long last glance. Gus.
I was waiting for that song "My Heart Will Go On" to play in the background. Vorty67 says, "Shut up, Jeremy!" All in caps.
Nice to have you back, Vorty67, as always. He went on a cruise a few weeks ago, and I missed you from roasting me in my live stream. So you're back.
Don't tell my boy Jeremy to shut up. You don't tell him to
they
shut up.
They already think we're mad at each other, EVS.
I know. There's no tension between me and Jeremy. We're brothers. We'll hug it out. No problem at all.
Captain Blood of Kirby says, EVS, what specifically did you do to get a thank you on the Justice League movie? I try to figure out what it could be, but I can't think of anything.
Oh, well, let me tell you. I created Iron Heights Prison, and I created Barry Allen's mother. I think, what was her name? I can't even remember now. And Flash Iron Heights, and then Flash Rebirth. And they sent me a check for, because of Iron Heights, I got $16,000 for that. It was great.
Nice.
That movie lost $350 million, but they sent me a check last week for $16,000. I was like, thank you.
Let's see. Kinky Pinkies. Jeremy, the writing was on the wall before The Force Awakens came out. The movie is called The Force Awakens. You realize what that means, right? It means that after the movie, the Force is woke.
I think you're giving them way too much credit for being intelligent to come up with something like that. They're not that smart, so...
Rainbolt, if SJW start losing money at Marvel Studios, does anybody not expect Bob Iger will go ballistic and not protect the golden goose that is the MCU?
Say that one more time because I was reading comments.
If SJW start losing money at Marvel Studios, does anybody not expect Bob Iger will go ballistic and not protect the golden goose that is the MCU?
I mean, look at Star Wars.
You can't fire SJWs. That's the trap. Then what are you, racist? What are you, sexist? Why are you firing all these people who only want social justice? What's going on? What's wrong with Bob Iger? And then you turn an entire hate mob crowd on Bob Iger. That is the thing. That's why I'm saying never hire an SJW. It's not about just firing them. Never hire them, because this is what they do. They're not interested in making money. They blackmail. They use social justice to emotionally blackmail you and your audience. They got to get the fuck out of here. That is what the trebuchet is for. I'll say it over and over again. I know some people in the chat don't like it. Most of you do. I'm just speaking the truth. If you look at their social media, figure it out. If they're SJWs, they mean you harm. They mean your business harm. Do not hire them.
I came. Star Wars Philosophy says I came in late. Ethan, what was that soy-filled video this morning?
Are you talking about which one? The Rainbow Bright one?
I think they're talking about the George Lucas one.
Oh, it wasn't soy-filled at all. It was. Look, I'm telling you right now. It doesn't matter who it is. I will always side with the fans. I'll always side with the fans. George Lucas came out against the fans back in 1999. I believe that this attitude of blaming the fans for the failure of some of your ideas, goes back to that point for Star Wars. I'm sorry. I had to call him a coward. He was faced in an interview with the BBC with a question about whether or not he uses ethnic stereotypes as his alien characters. And rather than just confess that, yes, indeed he does, which he does, he decided to start calling the fans names. I'm sorry, I don't like it. It doesn't matter that it was Uncle George or Grandpa or Papa George. It doesn't really matter. He still has to be called out on that bullshit. Fans did not do anything wrong when they said that Jar Jar Binks is a piece of garbage character. They didn't do anything wrong. They were exactly right. And even if they were wrong, they're still right. They're the customers. Thank you.
Now, here's a super burn, Jeremy. I apologize in advance. This comes from Really Good Chef. Ryan Johnson is still better at making Star Wars films than Jeremy is at playing Mario Kart.
Okay, let's break this down really quick. Okay,
Please.
Okay, all I need to know is how was Mario Kart spelled, with a K or a C?
It was spelled properly with a K.
Then I'm gonna let it go. Really Good Chef is a great super chatter over on my live streams, and he spelled it properly because he knew I would let it go if he spelled it properly. So he watches the channel. He's informed. I'm going to let you have it. I see you, chat. I see you right now. I see you with your C's Mario Karts. I see it, and that's fine. I see it right now. Go ahead. And then you're going to start spelling Mortal Kombat. Yeah, everybody's going to start spelling everything wrong now, and that's fine. But Really Good Chef, he knew what he was doing. He's like, I'm going to poke the bear, but I'm going to spell it right. So I respect that.
I love the stuff that goes on Jeremy's channel.
So somebody, Hingle McCringleberry, sent me a super chat like a month ago. And he was saying, like, I can whoop your ass in Mario Kart, but this is the first time it came up, and he spelled Mario Kart with a C. And I'm like, look, if you're going to step to the man, okay, if you're going to step to the man and challenge me in some Mario Kart, at least spell it right. But you've lost all credibility, and that has taken a life of its own. They do not spell anything right. They intentionally spell shit wrong in my live streams just to make me trip up on words now. It's fantastic. I love it.
I love the line, "You've lost all credibility." I love when people say that. It's so funny. Like, people get mad at me for calling it the Millennial Falcon, and they're like, it's not the Millennial Falcon, it's the Millennium Falcon. You've lost all credibility. I love that. I love that. Like, I ever had any credibility. Stop it.
Commander Cody says, how come Dion likes Westerns but not horses?
Oh, fuck you.
Grim Falcon says, I'm worried for the kids of the future who will grow up watching horrible feminist icons in film instead of good role models from Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Marvel, etc. Biotechna says, bring in HK-47, the badass killer robot, the good one. Literally nobody. We must secure the existence of the expanded universe and a future for Star Wars. Gas Disney sees the means of their production. John Smith says, Jeremy, come on. SJWs always ignore any point that runs against their narrative. Facts don't matter. Smiley face.
Very true. It's very true. The narrative over the truth always with them.
Jason Wells says, Hasbro didn't even want to make an Ahsoka figure after the Clone Wars. She ended up being the highest selling figure that year.
She's an awesome character, but again, she's universally accepted for the most part. I'm not saying every Star Wars fans likes her, but the heavy majority do, and that hurts their narrative. So,
Michael Hunting said, predictions on the Resistance anime series. I'm not sold. It's a time era of Star Wars which is divisive. I didn't even know there was a Star Wars anime coming in.
Wait, hang on. Hollywood Hogan just commented and said, Booker T, where you at, brother? I'm fucking dead.
We have to cover that on your channel, dude. For real.
He's at a 5-star restaurant.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know anything about this Star Wars Resistance anime. Do you guys?
Yeah, that's Filoni's next project. It's supposed to take place.
Looks like shit.
It does look. It looks pretty bad. It's supposed to take place after Return of the Jedi before The Force Awakens. And it's supposed to center around Poe Dameron and Captain Phasma, and it's an anime-style animation, and it looks really bad.
It looks like Ben 10 with Captain Phasma. It looks like a piece of shit. And I'll tell you something. The only reason why I'm interested is because of Dave Filoni. We get Dave Filoni in there. I thought Dave Filoni probably sounded, when I saw a picture of him, I thought he sounded like Johnny Cash. I was like, I'm Dave Filoni. I'm here to take over. That's what I thought he sounded like. Well, I listened to a video interview of him live stream. It was humiliating, dude. He was like, hi, my name's Dave Filoni, and this is how Star Wars is. I was like, holy shit, what a miserable humiliation. Absolutely terrible. I got off of that train real fast.
But yeah, so I mean, and this happened with me with the Clone Wars. When I first saw the Clone Wars, the animation looked terrible. It looked cheesy. I thought it was just a dumb kids show. And then I finally, started watching it and fell in love with it. Same thing with Rebels. I didn't like the animation for Rebels. I don't love Rebels like I do the Clone Wars, but I did like Rebels. But it took me a while to, come around on the animation. But I just don't see myself getting invested in this Resistance show at all. It just looks really bad. I love Filoni, but I'm gonna watch it. But
I'm getting in there. I can't wait. I'll be doing video reviews of that shit. Is that Netflix? What is it?
I don't know. I'm thinking they may put that won't be. I think it's coming out this fall. So it's probably gonna be Disney XD, just like Rebels was.
God. Oh, I'm still gonna do it.
Hey, do you remember those badass Gandhi Tartakovsky Clone Wars shorts from like the early 2000s, like the mid 2000s?
Oh yeah,
the prequel ones.
I watched
like when Grievous was actually cool before Revenge of the Sith came out.
I watched this all the time when they would air them because they'd tell you we're going to air them at this time, like they used to do the Thriller video back in the days. Like Clone Wars is on at this time.
That was kind of like anime, like some of the way he did the style with that. But his stuff's kind of like that, like Samurai Jack and Dexter has the mech stuff.
I thought that was easier to digest in many ways than the actual Clone Wars show, but I like them both a lot. It's not.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. I just don't hear people talk about it much anymore. And I remember like that was a big deal when I was younger. And I don't know if people forgot about it or not. But
you should come back on the channel and we could talk about it.
We should, because the action scenes kick fucking ass in that. Like there's that part where all the clone troopers get taken out and like their heads get taken and shit, and they're like, and then Anakin has like a badass lightsaber duel, and it makes Anakin seem cool. The one time is in that show,
or it's in the rain.
Yeah, that scene's fucking amazing. Let's see, and the music and the way it's edited and cut and stuff like that. I mean, I'm kind of a fanboy of Tartakovsky, but I think he like killed it with that, and he actually it kind of showed you that the Star Wars universe is sometimes. People don't do unique stuff with the action scenes depending on who's making the movies, and he did that. I was like, man, you really can do cool stuff if you have a creative guy behind it that we haven't seen before, too.
As Air sent in another super chat, went to Universal Studios yesterday and got pics of Back to the Future City Hall remodeled and got a video of some of it. I'll try to share on the Patreon. Please do, because you guys know Back to the Future is my favorite movie. So anything new that I can consume from it, I'll be happy. Commander Cody says, what Star Wars comic series should they make movies from? I don't... Crimson Empire, isn't that one? About the Royal Guards? I liked that story, but I listened to the audiobook. But I think there's a comic of it.
No, it is. I own the Crimson Empire one.
Okay. What do you think? Anybody else have any other suggestions?
For comics? I mean, the EU one where it's Luke Skywalker's grandson. What's his name? Not Kyle. I keep wanting to say Kyle for some weird ass reason. That one's where he the using Vong are back in it. That one's actually pretty good.
But I think they should do Pando Calrissian Double or Nothing. That's out right now. And let's put Dong Lover back to work. That's my favorite comic series right now. I love the Lando Double or Nothing. There are all these shots in there in this comic book, all these shots of Lando checking out L337's ass. Absolutely fantastic. That needs to be a movie right now, Kathleen Kennedy. You've got 3 months until you're thrown out the door. And by the way, somebody did another person. I got another tip off from Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy has indeed been fired. She is out of there September. I can't wait. I'm so excited about it. I'm so
I can't wait too. We're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk
We're
about.
gonna party.
Imagine the fucking high councils. It'll just be champagne and shit for
Oh my
Hey,
god,
Ethan, does that mean I can make a video tomorrow and title Kathleen Kennedy, put it in the title for views? Because I'm
Yeah, you
gonna
can say
do
you
it
have a
now.
source.
Yeah,
I'm doing it right now. Sources say Lucasfilm,
you have a
source.
Kathleen
She's
Kennedy,
gone. Yeah.
at 150,000 views. Whoop!
Only 150,000 there, Jeremy.
Hey, I'm not world class bullshitters. I'll take my 150 and go home. So
150. Is
Wait,
low
who would
for
replace
that
her?
company.
Like, who would be the new head of Lucasfilm if they talked about that?
anybody
have a
that knows, they've put. I saw the ad on Craigslist and it says literally anybody that knows anything about Star Wars.
Hey, we got a listener named literally anyone, so why not them?
Yeah. Fuck it, dude. It's yours now.
Ian Aldridge says, Jeremy, what brand of wool clippers do you use to trim those pubes under that hobo hat? God damn.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a special set of clippers that only high council members get, and it's called the helicopter dick clippers. And that's the ones we have because we all have helicopter dicks. And you have a mosquito
I'd
dick.
buy that for $1.
And he has a mosquito dick, the guy that asked that. So, I'm joking. I love you. I'm just, look, you're throwing shade. I'm throwing shade back. That's how we do it here. I tell my best friends to go fuck off. So it's all good. We're all friends here.
Deshandre Morant says, respect Kamala Khan power. There are characters that have used the same power / better, fantastic, plastic man, elongated man, Madam Rogue from Teen Titans. I don't like Kamala Khan because I don't like to read stories about children in comic books. And that includes Robin. Sorry, folks. Ino Kieva says, National Film Registry picked the 77 version of Star Wars. They still don't have a copy. Lucas refused. I did know about that story. You guys know about that story?
No.
Yeah, I knew about it. Yeah.
Yeah, the film registry wanted a copy of Star Wars. Lucas sent the 97 cut. They sent it back. Ian Aldridge again says, Ethan, get out of your sugar coma and sumo wrestle me, bro. Why are you guys so somber? So somber? Oh my god, I think this has been one of our most in-depth episodes.
I've been seeing that in the chat. Everyone's saying it's like a low energy soy episode and a lot of negative comments, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't check the chat normally, but I was looking at the chat and everyone's just like,
people are 1 minute jumping on me and the next minute they're jumping on somebody else. Just fucking do it, bro. Get your boner how you can get it, baby.
You know what? If you want us to if we're so somber, ask us crazy questions. That's how you guys can do that.
Hey, you just got the helicopter dick answer from me.
Yeah, so if you guys are ever like, all these guys sound like they're low energy. No, guys. Play off of you too. So if you got some crazy shit to say to us, I don't care. Ask us the dumbest questions you can possibly think of. We'll read them on air and we'll laugh and we'll chuckle and we'll all have a good time.
we didn't have any news either.
What'd you say? We didn't have any news?
Yeah, nothing happened with Star Wars. There wasn't much to talk about.
I mean, that Batgirl show got announced, how it's intentionally social justice oriented.
Yeah, that's going to do horrible.
Yeah, and DC wants a streaming service to rival Netflix.
That shit ain't get off the ground.
Some asshole named Kendo Slice says, Dion, get the coups ready.
The coups!
Jesus A. Ceballos Jr. says, we should give a shout out to John Schnepp's GoFundMe page. Collider shills a lot, but Schnepp's in critical condition, and he does a lot to inform / educate, and has been doing so for 4 years on Collider Heroes. Yeah, I was actually just on the page a second ago, guys. So if you don't know who John Schnepp is, he worked on Metalocalypse. He made that Tim Burton Superman documentary, and he's incredibly ill. He's in critical condition. I think he's in the hospital with some unknown disease. So
that's terrible. I met that guy at a con once.
I like John Schnepp, and I meant to spread the word on that. So I'm retweeting right now from Holly Payne's page, which is his better half, I believe. But yeah, John Schnepp, I like Schnepp. I've kind of tuned out of Collider in the past year.
Oh yeah.
But this is much bigger than that. I met Schnepp at Pensacon a few years ago. He did the Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, and yeah, he's a good dude. He's good people. So hopefully he pulls through.
Yeah, and Jesus A. Ceballos Jr., I see you on there too, man. So you're one of those people out there that tells people about stuff and you act on it too. So respect from us. And yeah, he needs $100,000. He's already got $70,730 within 3 days. So
yeah, I just retweeted from my personal, and I'm doing it from the Geeks and Gamers page.
The power of the internet's incredible. Alex G says, Uncle Ethan stretching shirts. How about expanding Van Skyver? That's what the
Y'all
EBS
so
stands for
mean
now.
over this motherfucker.
Absolutely.
Jason Wells says an Ahsoka movie that would make thousands of monies.
That's a shot at me. So
Oh,
that's for the
007.
Geeks and
I
Gamers
need to-
live stream.
I need to watch a ton of your shit now so I can be caught up on the jokes since we work together.
There's
quite
so
frequently.
many. There's so many inside jokes.
Let's see. 007 Cloud says Lucas was smelling his own farts in the 90s with the special editions. He went full Lucas with the prequels since he had no leash on him. They went senile with Indy 4. Yeah, Indiana Jones 4 sucks ass.
You mean you don't love the refrigerator? Come on now.
You don't love Shia with the monkeys? Like, dude.
Shia.
Or Kate Blanchett.
Mutt Jones or what the fuck was his
Mutt
name?
Williams.
Mutt Williams.
Williams.
Yeah. Oh god, that's a.
It's not a class, Mom.
I like
Brian,
the motorcycle scene in that movie. The motorcycle chaser. Like
No, you
that.
don't.
the beginning one with where they're leaving the college.
Yeah, that felt like an old Indiana Jones because they didn't have all the CGI.
With Indy on the
and-
back of the motorcycle? Yeah, that's not Indy, bro.
Yeah, but he's old, so I mean, I just thought it was stupid to have old Indiana Jones in general. I don't think the character works as an old man.
No, but the thing they did right with McClane and Die Hard 4, opinions aside on the movie, they at least showed that he still had it, and in the modern setting, he used the old ways to get it done.
Yes.
I don't think Indiana Jones was shown to be effective in that film. Therefore, he was neutered, and I think he's killed further interest in the films.
Outside of him, when he saves Mutt from the snake, it was all about, oh, well, he's old. Get it? He's old. Watch.
Part-time.
Laugh. He's old. It's like,
Yeah, part. Well, not everyone's Tom Cruise, where you don't age and you're a badass at like 60.
Tom
But
Cruise is a robot.
yeah, no, that was just my bit because the character gets lost. I think Plinkett said that. The Plinkett said this. I think though the character gets lost in Indiana Jones. Like what keeps him grounded, because him being old it makes it silly that he's not retired, that he's still going out on adventures, and he's in his like 60s. It doesn't make any sense. I kind of had that with old Han Solo still being a smuggler. I thought like, what the fuck? Like, shouldn't he be setting somewhere in a house somewhere with Chewie? But he lost the Falcon and he's still going around. And he's what was he, 73 years old or something? It's weird.
Well, they do shitty explanations. So Star Wars, it was, a half-ass attempt at, hey, his son's evil. And then, in Indiana Jones, it was a half-ass attempt at, oh, well, at the beginning of the movie, his fucking dad died. And they spent 2 minutes on it. And it's just like, okay, well, this still doesn't explain anything about the character guy. Like, it's always... anytime you half-ass a franchise player, you get shit like that. Indiana Jones 4, Star Wars, every time.
There's 3 Harrison Ford late sequels where he's a deadbeat dad. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Force Awakens, and then Blade Runner 2049, where he hasn't seen his kids in years, and he comes back and he's old. So that's some kind of thing with Harrison Ford. I don't know if that means he's a really bad father in real life, but... It's a weird thread. Like, hey, let's do a sequel to this classic movie with old Harrison Ford, and he doesn't take care of his kid. That's the only storyline we can come up with old Harrison Ford. And Carrie Fisher can't move her lips.
She is a robot.
Strokes it to you.
Brian Lape said, $5 to hear my name pronounced properly the first time. Word up, y'all. Life's too short. Life's too short to drink shit beer. Thank you, Brian Lape. You are Anus. You are also the channel dad, and you'll be at Indianapolis Horror Hound with us soon. So
And check out his channel. That shit is very informative.
The funny thing is, Lape lives 20 minutes from me, but I only see him out of town for World Class Bullshitters events. We got to rectify that, Lape. Gojira
Well, you saw him for the Rumble.
That's true, but that was 7 months ago.
Yeah, good point.
Gojira says Skywalker Saga was better continued in Rogue One than in either Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. I agree. I agree 100% with that, because you got to see Leia and Tarkin and all those other characters, so it was more interesting, and the nostalgia worked better. 007 Cloud says Sword Art Online is a terrible anime adaptation of light novel, soulless and formulaic. I love Cowboy Bebop and Ninja Scroll.
Well, I remember when that's what I remember when Sword Art Online was called Dot Hack Sign, like a decade before. But I guess everyone forgot about that.
You know me, I'm not Mr. Anime fan.
Yeah, I know you don't know. Yeah, I've tried to not mention a bunch of animes because I know you guys don't know them. So,
Mareth Dioline says, EVS, I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand?
I don't like it either. I don't like it either. I'm not for it. I'm against it.
Ian Aldridge says, Jeff, am I to believe that Ethan can get to the super chats faster? Brah, bring Cecil to this party to get it going. I'm sorry, but when there's a good conversation rolling, you do not interrupt that. We had some good points made tonight. Some deep cuts here on World Class Bullshitters version of the High Council. Hollywood Hogan says, soy can't survive high tea environments like this. Chironis says, Space Force is a covert op to send SJWs to Mars. Demonjanai says, just wrapped a video on She-Ra. Bad press is good press. Check it out. Shameless plug. By the way, great show, gentlemen. Well, thank you. Cheap plugs are welcome here. We have Jeremy, the Mick Foley of the High Council world. Christopher Burkle said, I'm not much against the existence of special editions. Refusing to preserve the unaltered versions despite the demand is oppositional to the fans. Matt Tween says, I wish Episode 9's title would complete the sentence. The Force Awakens The Last Jedi from a dream, and Luke Skywalker comes back to kick the First Order's ass.
We can only hope. We can only hope.
Greg Rivera sent in 2 super chats for $2 each with no message, so thank you, Greg Rivera. Voorhees67 says, Murio Combat. All spelled incorrectly, not words, but thank you. Nicholas Gunn said, just saw Ant-Man and Wasp, not SJW at all. Good movie.
Good movie. Very good movie. I enjoyed it.
I like it. Prick13 says, thoughts on Roundhead ripping off Escape from LA?
Yeah, I think John Talk Star Wars covered that first. At least that's the first place I saw it. I don't know. I don't know. Rian Johnson it seems like Rian Johnson potentially could have ripped off a lot of things with The Last Jedi, and that's not speaking very highly of the things he ripped off. But I don't know. I honestly don't know, and I don't want to say if he did or didn't, but it's definitely an interesting conversation, and a lot of people are starting to bring this point up, and the more time passes, the more people are finding out more information. So we shall see.
Like I say, folks, don't forget about The Last Jedi and Solo. Remember what they said, remember what they did, and just keep that anger for Episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
Biotechnist says, I hate Mario Kart spelled with a C. Jeremy, sorry, but it's true.
No comment.
Logan Michael 69, thank you for your super chat. Booker T is coming to my town next month. Well, Logan Michael, you should go visit Booker T because Dion spazzed out like a girl when he almost met Booker T at New Orleans.
Can you dig it?
Sucker.
Greg Rivera with another super chat. Thank you, Greg Rivera. This has been the best. I follow you all. Well, thank you, Greg Rivera, and we appreciate the support and the love on this evening's High Council episode. Sack Slappy Happy says, what the hell is an aluminum falcon?
Aluminum foil falcon.
Greg Rivera again with another super chat says, first ever super chat, had to follow you all. Well, thank you, Greg Rivera. Again, we appreciate all that you do. We appreciate all that everyone does. Laura Ryan stole my fan fiction story, says, please no Dr. Aphra, the young mall comic. I guess that's what Laura would like to see adapted into a Star Wars film. Ira Clusart Grimalda says, hey, Dion, how do you feel about BoJack Horseman?
Fuck you, sir.
Back in the 90s. Jorge Versetti says, Lord Cecil awaits invite. The people demand Cecil. Michael Hunting, Star Wars Celebration, gentlemen. Let's broaden our minds. Lawrence? No, Michael Hunting, you better be there because we'll all be there. And we're awaiting you. Shelly Roberts says, Jeremy, so nice of you to represent my hogs.
That's very, very blasphemous right there. It's Roll Tide, not Arkansas.
Asuke.
I mean, if I wanted a loser team, I would pick whoever Dion cheers for. But that's not what I'm about.
Oh, fuck you, sir.
Asuke says, I'm about to get on Amazon. Star Wars Rebels or Clone Wars? I say Clone Wars.
Clone Wars first.
Clone Wars
to watch. You have to, regardless of which one is better or not, you have to watch Clone Wars first because there are things in Rebels that you won't get the full emotional impact unless you watch Clone Wars. But Clone Wars is the superior series also. And watch it if you want to. Google it or go to. There's plenty of websites out there, but you can watch it in chronological order. The way that they released it, if you watch it on Netflix, it's all jacked up. It's confusing as hell for the first 2 seasons. So if you Google that list and watch it in chronological order. It will help you out a lot. But the first 2 seasons are good. They're not great, but 3, 4, and 5 are phenomenal.
First 2 seasons are awesome, especially if you watch the episode where you find out how Grievous became Grievous, where he killed his entire planet. That shit is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I like the first 2 seasons a lot, but it's just it doesn't get really rolling for me. And a lot of people say that, you know, like 3, 4, and 5. But I've had a lot of people that I recommended the show to. They're like, dude, I couldn't. The first half a season is not that great. I'm like, it's good, but a lot of people watch it in the way that Netflix has it structured too, and it's very confusing if you watch it that way. Some of those episodes are just like out of left field, and they don't make any sense because it's not chronological order. So, but I thoroughly enjoy the whole series. So,
Ian Aldridge with a super chat. Game on. What are your favorite bestiality movies? Go.
oh my god, I prefer The Last Jedi because of what Luke did to the space dinosaur.
I'm trying to figure out.
Ginger Snaps. There's a part where a guy fucks a werewolf chick in a car. Off
What
the top
about
of my head.
what about that episode of Chappelle Show where he fucks a volcano? Does that count?
I'd say yes.
All right, cool. I'm glad you got my back.
Oh my god. I guess I'll have to say
Clerks 2. Somebody said Clerks 2. I can't believe I forgot.
Oh,
Clerks
Kinky
2.
Kelly and the Sexy
Yeah.
Stud.
I love Clerks 2. I love the Kinky Kelly scene. God, so good. Yeah.
I'm the sexy
I'm
stud.
repulsed. I'm disgusted, and I can't look away. It's so great.
Howard the Duck is my choice. Leah Thompson, Howard the Duck, easily.
Clerks 2 is like my go-to movie, you know, like that when you just kind of want to watch something that just kind of, you know.
Oh, dude, the Goodbye Horses scene's like fucking hilarious.
I saw that in theaters. I love that movie. So
I did too, yeah. That's back when Kevin Smith still made good movies.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, I'll bring my copy to Star Wars Celebration, so when we're drunk in the hotels, we can have something fun to watch.
Right on, man.
Samuel Aragon says, tell us about Dion's legendary sandwich on the can. Dion, do you want me to tell it, or do you want to tell it real quick?
You know what? I feel like for aesthetic reason, you do it. You do it.
Well, Dion has we've been drinking, and he'll take food on the toilet and eat while he's taking his shit. I don't know how he does it. I don't know why he does it, but he does it. He'll take anything with him into the bathroom. I'll be back, and he's just eating and pooping. So I guess it's the most economical way to do that.
Somebody said the shower scene from Solo. For the bestiality.
It made us all quite turgid. Voorhees67 says, if you were all on a deserted island and had to eat each other, who would be the first to go, and who would be the last man standing?
Well, there's more of Ethan to eat.
Yeah.
So I'd start there.
Dion. Well, since Dion's on the show, I guess he and I would just team up.
Yeah, it'd be pretty easy for us to be like, oh, you guys are fucked.
Yeah, we wouldn't. Well, like Jake would always say, you know, if we were on an island, who would we eat first? Basically, if it was you, me, and Jake, I would throw Jake off a cliff right away. Then we'd find his body and deal with it. Because I know we wouldn't backstab each other, but he would be the first one to try to kill somebody.
Yep.
So I guess since Uncle Ehe is tired, he would fall asleep and we'd eat him in his sleep. He would just never wake up.
Yep, agreed.
Let's see. Nicholas Glenn says, have you guys heard about the Walmart streaming service? Is that real?
I haven't heard about that.
Nor have I.
haven't either.
Holy shit. That sounds dumb.
No, it's crazy.
It's going to be all their $5 movies.
Johnny Dangerously.
They're going to say Johnny Mnemonic equally. Let's see. Jason Wells says, Jeremy, Cobra Commander is soy. Just saying is all.
Listen, did this great supervillain not go through enough in G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and what they did to him? Can you leave the guy alone? Okay, he created an empire, and then they turned him into the ultimate soy, because the Cobra Commander in Rise of Cobra is the ultimate soy. Like, it's so bad. I don't know if you guys have seen Rise of Cobra.
In theaters.
Yes, regrettably so.
Oh, it's so bad.
Both those movies are terrible.
Yeah.
I liked the Snake Eyes Storm Shadow aspect of both. Outside of that,
That was literally, listen, that is overshadowed by the end of the movie where The Rock just shoots into the air for no fucking reason.
Doesn't Channing Tatum
Here's the gun so you can get Cobra Commander. Okay, do you smell what I'm? I'm like, shut the fuck up. God damn it.
So bad.
Star Wars Philosophy says, do you think Lando and 3PO will have a moment in Episode 9?
Touch themselves.
Careless Whisper plays as Lando looks at the
I'm telling
reflection
you,
of
man, this
himself.
droid sex thing's gonna pay off. There's like a long plan.
I'm going to hold you to that one. If it happens, you're a permanent member on the show.
Okay.
Nicholas Glenn says, Jeremy, your hair is looking real jacked tonight.
That's what I'm talking about.
Geek Chorus, great to see Please Rewind here. Do miss Doomcock, though. Doomcock's always welcome back. He just has been working. So
Boom.
there's no ill will ever towards Doomcock. The dude is a national treasure. Plus, we want to be on his good side when he takes over the Earth and lets us live and have our own country. You know, Otisburg. Logan Michael 69. Weirder film than Bat Pussy? Question mark. It's Pat.
Oof. That was a rough one right there.
Plus, Bat Pussy's an adult film, so it's just it's bad on two levels. There's not even good action, and it's stupid. Gojirify, why is Ethan so quiet tonight?
I'm here. I'm just sitting here working. Sorry.
Basil says, do not allow the freaking cyber frogs to turn gay. We won't. Ethan won't either.
Of course not.
Geek Course, Godzilla versus King Kong. Who wins? Godzilla fan for life. Maybe it ends with Kong saying, Mothra? Why did you say that name? Biotechnus, imagine if Kylo Ren turned out to be the good guy. We can dream. Basil says...
Oh, sorry. I thought that's like what everyone's been saying throughout the whole trilogy. Is like, is Kylo Ren going to be the good guy?
he'll just get destroyed by Rey.
That's the thing. Like, where's the tension? Because she kicked his ass already, like twice. So I
I don't know. I
how
feel like
that
I've been
works.
saying that since the fucking Force Awakens came out, and everyone's just like, "Oh, it was a good movie. You're just a hater." Like this grown man in the comic book store wanted to fight me over it.
Why would
No,
they want
dude.
to fight you? Aren't you like 6'8"?
Not that tall, no.
Okay.
Let's see. Biotechnus. Okay, we were at that one. Sorry, but thank you again. Basil says everyone pretends to be Ken. Everyone pretend to be Kendo, pretending to be Cecil with an Irish accent. Faldrin GW2 says SJWs always fail to acknowledge anything made before the 2000s when criticizing anything over diversity or powerful female characters. That is an excellent point.
Very good point.
Yeah, that might be one of the best points made the entire evening. So you win, Faldrin GW2.
Well,
Gojira
it's just even like remember when Blade didn't exist when Black Panther came out? You know, remember when what was it, Meteor Man?
Yeah, Meteor Man, Robert
Meteor
Townsend.
Man? Yeah,
Blank Man.
Yeah, Blank Man. None of those movies existed when Black Panther came out.
I made a video on that called Black Panther Relevant Masterpiece, and somebody told me that Meteor Man sucked and I didn't understand. Like, it had no relevance to kids. And I pointed out, like, I saw Meteor Man when I was a kid, and that was a big movie for me. Like, and so was Blank Man, and I still think Blank Man's a really underrated movie.
I have a
And I
Meteor
watched them
Man
when I was a
action
kid.
figure right here in my office.
Yeah, I was like, well, I was a white kid and I watched those movies and they were a big deal to me. And I read comic books and because we didn't get many superhero films back then.
Oh,
We had like Batman and the Superman movies, like that was it.
I take it you and I are close to the same age.
Yeah, so that was the thing. Like when Blade came out, that was a big fucking deal. Like
Blade
that
was Blade was mind-blowingly amazing.
the opening scene at the club with the fucking blood coming down, and then he
So
throws the
good.
thing. It's
And-
it's still cool.
Yeah, it is. It still holds up. I mean, I haven't seen it in a few years, but I mean that movie's so good. So
Dion hates it.
really,
It's a little 90s. I
No,
could maybe
it's
think
one of
it's
Dion's
good.
favorite movies. I was just
Oh.
waiting for him to go,
Oh.
motherfucker.
Yeah, 'cause I
Awesome,
like
man.
it. I like Blade. Yeah, I don't know why they haven't done anything with Blade. Like Marvel's done nothing with Blade in the movies or anything for Netflix or anything. Like I think it'd be a good Netflix show, Blade.
yeah. Well, I mean, the Snipes character. I mean, it's all about Wesley Snipes that made that movie. And I mean, back in the '90s, Wesley Snipes was gold. Anything
That's
he
true.
did, Passenger 57, all that stuff. So
Demolition Man.
Demolition Man with
Yeah, that's the
Stallone.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the three
Great.
the seashells.
So greatness.
Why is Ethan so quiet? What is he eating? That comes
I'm not eating anything. I'm sitting here working.
That comes from Gojirify. I don't want to ignore people's names. Thank you, Gojirify. Black Mephistopheles. Jeremy, just listen to Jenny and start running. Who's Jenny? Nicholson?
Probably that's got to be Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
'Cause
Forrest
Oh.
Gump. Yeah,
Ugh.
run.
I was running,
Yeah.
so because Alabama. It's on my avatar.
Oh, okay. Wow, right over my head.
Hey, but hey, at least you taught me how to say Gojirify, because every time he super chats me, I'm like, I just say all the letters because I never know what it says.
That's that movie about the girl who has AIDS and has sex with a retarded guy.
I've never seen
It
that.
won an Oscar. It won an Oscar. It's great.
If it's won an Oscar, that's one of the reasons I probably didn't see it. So
Yeah. Yeah, beat Pulp Fiction. So yeah.
Gamma Catch. Is diversity in comics now making a distinction between SJWs and extreme SJWs? I'm seeing that in the comments over there. Gamma Catch, I'm behind on watching any YouTubers, so I can't tell you if he's making that distinction. Are you guys up on the new diversity in comics stuff, or are you equally busy like I am?
I've watched not the last like 2, but I watched most of his stuff and Captain Cummings stuff. I keep pretty up to date with those guys. I knew Captain Cummings like 2 years ago too. He's a really cool dude.
hey, speaking of YouTube videos, Jeff, did you ever watch that Jeremy Johns video on the First Order?
I did.
Hey, what'd you think about that?
Pretty good. I even said to him in the comments section, yo, you need to come on the show. So
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that video.
he's coming around, man. Like, because I used to not like him very much, but his like Last Jedi stuff and all that's been pretty good.
I just want to know if he's coming around because he feels that way, or if he's worried he'll be labeled like Chris Stuckman and have a stink on him. And
Oh,
then-
I hear you.
I had private conversations with him. I believe I would put my name in the hat for Jeremy Johns, that I think he's a stand-up dude. So
Well,
He
was
does
he-
a different thing, He does like broad audience reviewing stuff. He's not like you guys where you really dive into it. He does like these 5-minute videos most of the time. So I get that he's doing it. He has a different audience.
yeah,
But I think he's all right. I was talking to you guys before this started though, but I don't know if anyone in the chat seen or anyone else here because we weren't here. But that Mauler and Dishonored Wolf live stream, you guys still got to listen to sometime where they have Just Right on, because he made those 2 Last Jedi videos, and one was talking about why the characters was great, and then he was talking about why we can't agree on it and like how art's subjective. And he comes into the live stream and Mauler just like destroys him. And I found out something that I didn't know was that I Hate Everything apparently did a live stream with Dishonored Wolf and Mauler that was 5 hours, where he basically said at the end that the movie was bad, and then he asked them to not upload the live stream, which I think is pretty pussy. But that's a live stream I'm really interested in hearing. So I'm telling the chat right now, we need to get this live stream out there. So please demand Dishonored Wolf to put up the I Hate Everything Last Jedi live stream.
Yeah. Shit, I'll get those guys on here to talk about it, and we'll use that platform too.
Yeah, ask them about it, because they were talking about it just a little bit. And it sounds fascinating because he argues with them for about an hour and a half, they said, and then by like hour 3 he was just defeated. Because they just kept breaking things down. Why not? Because he does it with his videos. He does that kind of criticism where he looks at plot holes and poor writing and character development, lack of logic, and then he didn't do it with that movie. He made that bullshit video trying to say that like, oh, you just didn't get it, or I'm a Star Wars fan and people are being too vitriolic about it. And then he went on there to debate them about it, and then he got so, yeah, he just told them not to upload it, which I think very telling, because it's probably embarrassing, I imagine. So I want to hear that.
I do too. I have a contact to Mauler, direct link, so I'll shoot him a private message and see what happens. Because he's always fun to have and talk to. Plus, his voice is cool. So,
oh, dude, he did like Plinkett basically with those Last Jedi videos. Because I don't know if we're gonna get a Plinkett Last Jedi video, but his 3-part Last Jedi series is, to me, like the definitive Last Jedi criticism on YouTube, as far as I'm concerned.
I was
'Cause they're
bothered
just so
by
in-depth.
the Red Letter Media's review of The Force Awakens. I thought they kind of sold out on that one. It's like you want to
I
everything you
agree.
said.
But there's a great bit on the Last Jedi one where Mike says that with what happens to Luke and them, it's like he said it's like Mark David Chapman killed George Harrison, John Lennon, and Paul McCartney in the same night. He had a machine gun, and he said that's what this feels like. And that was really funny. So they came back around on Last Jedi though. That was a good review.
I unsubscribed after I watched. I was like, you know what? These guys
Oh,
just
yeah.
fucking get it. I was like, no, you guys you made a name on shitting on the prequels. Not even shitting on the prequels, but tearing them apart. And this movie has the same problems, if not more. and you just glossed over them, and I was like, "Where's the integrity at?" So I just said no more. But I don't really
Well, they
talk about
defended Rey too. Like they acted like Rey wasn't shit, and they said Daisy Ridley had charisma, and I'm like, what?
and,
I'm like, no, she doesn't.
they weren't trolling because, if they come back and say another video later, like, this is what we really feel, then why didn't you say it the first time? Did you guys want to get, like, there was a reason you put out this positive video when the movie came out. Were you afraid of being labeled as this or that because Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher were in the movie? Like, I don't know. It just kind of bothered me about Red Letter Media, so I've stayed away from them for the better part of 3 years.
Force Awakens had that effect on people. I remember, like, I don't know if it was nostalgia goggles because it was like, oh, it's the Millennium Falcon, even though they criticized Rogue One for that stuff, even though Force Awakens did the same shit. But I remember Force Awakens came out, there was a lot more positive pre-Last Jedi. I mean, a lot of people didn't like it. I didn't like it, and you guys didn't like it. But I remember, I'm not saying everyone here disliked it, but I do remember when Force Awakens came out, just the energy seemed way more positive than it does now. So I don't know what really happened.
Yeah, I mean, flip-floppers are the type of people on YouTube that I'm kind of just like what is it? Double Toasted. I stopped watching them a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, Corey and them. I remember when they were Spill.
Yeah?
Yeah, Spill years ago, and they split off, and yeah, Double Toasted, yeah. That's because I really like Martin.
Yeah.
Really like Martin and Corey. They're funny, but yeah, they flip-flop so goddamn. They always did that. Years ago in Spill, they gave Indiana Jones 4 like a full price, and then a month later, they're like, oh, it's a rental. We were wrong.
I
They used to do
always
that shit all the time.
I always found it hard to fully grasp what Red Letter Media's actual true opinion is, because they always seem to be sarcastic, and it was hard to truly tell what they really felt. I don't watch them religiously, and I never have, but that was me just casually watching them. I love their Nerd Crew show. I think I love.
Oh,
their Nerd
dude,
Crew
that's
show.
amazing. Yeah, no, the
but when
Collider
when they do reviews, it is kind of hard to really grasp. Like, are they being serious? So, but again, maybe you guys watched them more than I did. So,
I used
I'd
to
say
watch
they are-
everything they did.
Me too. Yeah, religiously. Yeah, especially like because Best of the Worst I really liked.
And then there was Wheel of the Worst or whatever, where they.
Yeah.
I watched all that stuff.
Well, Mike's funny, man. Mike's a funny guy, and Rich is really funny, and Jay's got really good taste. But I think they might just be burnout on Star Wars. I don't know. They did make their name for shitting on the prequels, and I don't know if they just don't want to repeat what happened, because even the Plinkett Force Awakens review is really soft. It's not nearly as critical as it should be compared to what he did with the prequel videos.
I think he'll try to pull that with The Last Jedi and get a whole bunch of views, and people will be singing in the streets for that one.
I agree. I definitely see that happen, because that's at this point it's like it's redundant because we've all covered it so much. So anyone who makes that like a big channel, if they do their Last Jedi video now, it's like, well, you guys have been talking about it now for like months now, and I don't know what's left to be said. That's kind of one of the issues with this Star Wars content that I'm having, is trying not to sound like a broken record, criticizing the same things and saying the same thing so much about Last Jedi and Kathleen Kennedy, because everyone said so much. I don't know what's left to be said. Like, it's really been, that's why you need new information or something, like for her to leave or something, and then we had something to talk about.
Well, I think the Kathleen Kennedy stuff, much like Kathleen Kennedy herself, has dried out. There's really not much to cover about with her, but there's so much more out there to uncover with Ryan Johnson and the Geekergate thing and all kinds of stuff. It's to draw parallels. There's definitely many, many more conversations to be had in the realm of Star Wars, because they've unloaded so much stuff on us that it's taken a little bit of time to process and dig through it. And once, all that stuff, at least on my end, once I've gone through everything and processed it to my liking, Well,
what I think you did that was innovative, that I was really impressed with early on, I think what really gave your channel a hook, besides a lot of things, was the toy thing. Because I don't remember other people doing the toy videos like you. I saw toy review channels, but you going into the store with the camera to show, because I would see that stuff at Kroger's and Ollie's and all that shit, these toys sitting there, but you going in and doing it, I think was a great move on your part, because that emphasized a broader point, that the one thing that Star Wars always had, even if the movies weren't good, was the merchandise always sold. And then you were showing that wasn't really connecting. So something was missing. Even when people didn't like the prequels, people bought the toys. I bought shit when the prequels came out. But you doing that, I thought was really like, for me, that's when I was like, yeah, they found a hook here. And it opened up the broader point that Star Wars was getting effective overall, not just affected in movie quality, because there's been mediocre bad Star Wars movies, but the whole brand was getting hurt, and they were oversaturating it and bastardizing it. They I feel like Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park, you're too concerned whether or not if you could, you didn't stop to think if you should. And I think you really, and I think with Jeremy's channel, what you did was really you're mixing the politics with it so well, because it is political, and it's also something where the brand's getting damaged at the same time, and your guys' channels really showed that, and I think that's why you've had a lot of growth.
I didn't know what was going to happen when I started speaking out about it, because I originally Geeks and Gamers was very positive into Disney's Star Wars, our entire community that we had on Facebook, and it took me a little while to really process how much I didn't like The Last Jedi, because I was fanboying, and when I made that first video where I finally accepted it, I was like, this video is going to get destroyed by everybody. And it took off. And I was like, holy crap, there's a lot of people that feel the same way as me. Holy shit. You know what I mean? And so, but I came from I was super positive up until, The Last Jedi. And then I decided, there's a lot of problems here. And news kept coming out. Disney kept resisting the fans having any opinions if it didn't agree with theirs. I'm like, geez, man, this is insane. So, but yeah, Jeff was well ahead of me on it, because he hated Disney Star Wars from the start. So I didn't.
Well, more than that, I'm not trying to sound like Nostradamus here, but I noticed a problem with Star Wars merchandise before the Force Awakens came out, but I didn't make any videos or really have a platform. I had the podcast, but we were so small, I may not even mention it, but like I remember Force Friday in 2015 came out and people were pumped. And then the first wave of shit sold. And then they restocked the first wave. And then it sat through Christmas. And then it sat and it sat and it sat. And every once in a while you get this next wave, which means the next line of figures come trickling in. And then by the time we got to the Rogue One stuff, it got cluttered. And that's when I started filming the shit. That was just so bizarre, because I remember hunting down Star Wars figures in college with Dustin. Like, there's this Boba Fett figure that's worth like $90 now. It's $5 or $6.99 in 2009 or 10, whenever I bought the thing. I just remember the hype around that shit. Even when there were no movies and the Clone Wars was off season, the Star Wars shit still moved like crazy. You would think with, the Disney marketing that this stuff would be so hard to find and in demand, but that's not the case anymore with Star Wars. And I'm glad that I was the first one, I'll say I was the first one that did it like that, and that people have, stuck with that one, because I love doing those videos. I got one I'm working on right now. Star Wars is now being advertised at a bargain chain, and that's their big selling point. I mean, come on, Star Wars and bargain chains? That's kind of embarrassing. Like, Kylo Ren and Rey are the face of discount Star Wars.
Everybody's like, not this again. Jeremy's facts versus world class's opinion.
Yeah.
So we'll save that for Friday.
Oh yeah,
we'll save that for Friday, because Jeff's got a shit ton of super chats to get to.
Well, they created a counterculture. That's the crazy thing about Disney Star Wars, is that there's a counterculture now with your channels and other people now of just talking negatively about the current state of Star Wars, or talking about it honestly, really transparently. And they created that. And people have become successful off of it. And, you made more money than Solo did. I mean, it's kind of insane to think that, that like we're in a world where a YouTuber can make more profit than a goddamn Star Wars movie. That's crazy to me.
It's hilarious.
But here's the thing. We listen to what the people are saying, because we're the people like them. It's not about, we don't have like a corporate overlord like they do at Disney. They're out of touch. The next step in entertainment is more user-created content. Somebody actually had a super chat about that. Let me get to that real quick. Bagel Goose says, need to quit horsing around. You're scaring Dion. I apologize, Dion. You're my best friend, and I don't want to hurt your feelings about horses. Greg Rivera says, Ethan, great points on Indiegogo tiers, lower in the future, so we back many more great up-and-coming artists. Looking forward to solutions to make this happen. Escape into Madness says, baby, it's the man, the myth, the legend, CeeLo Green. Long live the council, and thanks again for another video. Anthony Mata asks, what is our favorite Mel Brooks movie? Mine is Blazing Saddles. Where are the white women at?
That's probably my favorite. I think Young Frankenstein might be a better movie in some ways, because aesthetically it is, but Blazing Saddles is funnier to me and one of like the funniest movies ever made. So it's hard not to pick that one.
I agree with what he just said, because Blazing Saddles is great. I mean, Spaceballs, I mean, there's so many great.
The producers, yeah, no, Silent movie's even really good, but Blazing Saddles is it's because it shows the absurdity of racism. Even the end of the movie where they're on the set, it's Mel Brooks showing you it's just a movie and commenting on Hollywood.
And shout out to
and how
Robin
we
Hood
view
Men in
movies.
Tights, by the way.
Yeah, yes, great film. Yes,
I like
Blazing
High
Saddles, like,
Anxiety.
you couldn't make that movie today. Like it's so
No, you
like
couldn't.
it's so politically incorrect, and that's what kind of makes it timeless in the sense that like it's still edgy in 2018, which is crazy. We didn't like evolve past that.
Yep.
Let's see. Michael Hunting. Hey, EVS Cyberfrog 2024.
Well, yeah, let's do it.
Basil says Plinkett sold out, so fake Plinkett had to rise, but that fucker fell off the goddamn face of the earth. I am the Walrus asks, would you eat the poop and drink the period blood of Kathleen Kennedy? I think that's a resounding no from all of us.
The answer is no.
Nicholas Glenn, do any of you guys watch The Game Chasers? The production value is just as good as anything on TV, along with the lines of American Pickers or something.
No.
I've never even heard of The Game
I
I
Chasers.
haven't heard of it either.
Is that something to do with video games? I wonder. I've never heard of that though. If it's something to do with video games, I'd be down with that.
My guess is like American Pickers. They're going around and looking for old or rare video games.
If
That would-
that's the
So that
case,
I could get into.
I would
I
watch
like
that in a
like
second.
Old video cabinets down here
Yeah.
in my office.
that's a
But
good premise for a show.
Mm-hmm.
DJD show, sadly getting Last Jedi news. Rey is Luke's niece.
That's what John Talks covered that. I need to see the video. 10,000 people sent me that video already, so I need to check it out. Because I made a video on Raylo the other day, and everybody's like, "No, it's Luke's niece." I'm like, "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" So I need
Well,
to check
for
it
all
out.
the people that asked me today where Monday's video was, it's going to come out tomorrow because I got a pretty in-depth one on something, and then I'm jumping into something else. So I actually got a string of videos for the people that have been asking, where are the daily videos at? Don't worry, guys. It's just been kind of crazy with the live streams and the high councils and all this other stuff. So you guys are going to get tons of content from me in the coming weeks. Or coming days, sorry. And then finally, Lord Assorman says, when your movie is so bad that it created a booming industry that hates the movie, that is an objective failure.
Yep.
So we made it to the end. This is the longest episode of the High Council.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry, Jesus.
Oh, no. Actually, I was going to say, I want you to come back on the channel, Pat.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, I do long live streams. I do a one on Sunday every week called Box Office Addict. It gets pretty good views. You know, some of them have like 20,000 hits. Where I just do like a 3-hour box office stream, and only about 40 minutes is the box office, and the rest is me just answering chat questions and going on rants.
That's what Good Morning Pop Culture is for me. I have a main topic, and then it's just whatever else the people want to talk about. I might do a whole.
It's like doing radio, man. That's what it feels like. Like you're getting callers on radio. It's like we went back to like the 30s or something, going back in time, and we're all doing radio now. Because I remember YouTube, you used to not be able to do just like pure audio a few years ago, and now that's becoming the dominant medium for a lot of channels. Besides video game live streaming, like that, we can just talk like this and have a conversation, and people listen to. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and we held well over 1,000 for over 3 hours. So the name, the High Council, really has some weight to it. So
Because we're all high when we do it. So.
Yeah.
I'm right here. AYF. No, you don't need to poke me. I'm here. I'm around. But yeah, this was a 1 hour and 20-minute live stream, guys. Good job.
Nicholas,
Ethan.
what-
Oh,
Go
but
ahead,
sorry,
Pat.
if I never get to talk to you again, I just want to say I said earlier I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm glad that your comic did very well. And I love the Blood Honey name. I think that's badass.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
And,
it.
once I found out your politics, I liked you even more.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because I'm pretty libertarian and all that. But I'm a big fan of your work. So I don't know if I'll get to talk to you again, but it was very nice talking to you and meeting you.
You too, man. Good having
It's
you
like-
on.
And Ethan, that goes for me too, since apparently we're pissed at each other if we never talk again, buddy.
Dude,
Uh,
we're gonna hang out. Are you kidding me? You know, we're these guys have to understand. The High Council, we're brothers.
No, but it was great having you guys on tonight. Really enjoyed it. And we got into some more deep topics, and I think that was necessary for us. I mean, we have a lot of fun here on the High Council, but we've got to mix it up a little bit. So I think this was a great episode. So
I think it sucked. AYF just said Ethan is morphing into an SJW. This has been the worst night of my life. I am not. Oh my God. But I love you too, Bradley Fortner. Thank you.
Well, hold on. A bunch of people just sent him in as soon as I said goodnight. So Nicholas Glenn says, Jeremy, you would love Game Chasers. Check it out. And then
I'm
Nicholas
interested
Glenn
in
also
this.
said Game Chasers also hates The Last Jedi.
Nice. I'm gonna have to check this show out. I've never heard of it. So
News
thank
to
you
me.
guys. Thank you guys for telling us about it. If it's an old school video game show, I'm down. So
Logan Michael, thank you for your super chat. Thanks for the stream. Have a good one. Like I always tell you, Logan Michael, have a better one. Biotechnist has a question. Any garbage media I can debunk for my first video?
just Google Star Wars.
Yeah, Google that. I'm trying to give you an honest answer. What should
I'm
you
trying to
debunk
think.
for your
Yeah.
first video? Why don't you look up some kind of like rumors or myths about famous movies? Something that people are going to be Google or searching for, and then, have an interesting take on that. Mareth Dialine gave an extra $1. Thank you very much. Bagel Goose says, don't let the naysayers get you down. And
That's
finally,
Cecil, by the way. That's
Bagel-
Cecil.
Oh, Bagel Goose is Cecil?
Bagel Goose is Cecil. Yeah, it's his alternate ID. He uses it to tip himself. It drives me nuts. And then, and just praise himself. He's like, Cecil is awesome. Here's $10. And he's using his brother-in-law's credit card. But that's the worst part. I don't understand why he uses his brother-in-law's credit card. And then he sends expensive super chats just to get us to say nice things about him.
It works. I like the way he operates.
That's the best thing I've heard all night.
Craziness.
That is Cecil. That is so Cecil right there.
Rhino4563. Will Dion be riding out on a horse? Hashtag doo-doo butter. I think Dion fell asleep. Dion was quite drunk on this stream tonight.
Hey, well, don't forget, guys, tomorrow I will have Rebel Force Radio on. We'll be on at the same time as World Class. We're just not trying to compete with each other. That's just how it worked out. So we'll all have Rebel Force Radio on the Geeks and Gamers channel. So I'll be doing 2 live streams tomorrow. And then for Friday at 8 p.m. Central, we're going to do the Force Awakens rewatch. And I'm already prepared to be roasted for 2.5 hours. So
I will be in the chat for that for sure.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get
look at Bagel Goose's current super chat. Will you look at that?
I could never be as good as Cecil. I don't know about that, Bagel Goose. Tell us more about how great you are, or how great Cecil is.
Terrible.
Biotechnist says, thanks for the advice. Anytime, Biotechnist. Like I tell everyone that watches streams and stuff, if you got questions or you need any help, contact us through the email or the Facebook page, and I'm always willing to help people out. Sometimes I don't get back to you guys, but I do have to do this full time, so I apologize if it takes a little bit. But like with every super chat, I'll eventually get to everybody. So don't worry. If you're patient, you will all get your time in the sun. Ethan, do you have anything you want to say before we close the show out?
Well, I mean, just my usual. Please go check out Cyberfrog Blood Honey on Indiegogo. If you haven't yet purchased a copy of that, I appreciate it. If you would. And thanks for everyone for turning out and making another High Council episode. Excellent. The highest of the high. And appreciate having the guests on tonight, Dion and Pat. Nice meeting you both. Well, I've met Dion before, but nice meeting Pat.
Bagel Goose says Cecil is love itself.
What a load of shit. Cecil, why do you do that? Just be Cecil. You don't have to disguise. We'll say whatever you want. If you want us to say Cecil is love, pay us and we'll say it. You can.
You know, Bagel Goose, you could pay me and we'll have Cecil on right now. The other guys can go and Cecil can come on the channel. But before that even happens, Pat, plug your stuff, please.
I am Please Rewind. I do movie reviews and essays. One is Underrated Classics, where I talk about films that I think have been underappreciated. I cover my favorite films. I do like every frame of painting type essays sometimes. Mainly, I'm just a movie review channel. I have a Saturday show called Saturday Night Fever, where I watch a movie and do a live commentary. And on Sundays, I do Box Office Addict, which is my most popular show. That's been running for 53 episodes, where I cover the box office in a very unique, original, idiosyncratic way, I feel. And it's a one-man show. It's kind of like Bill Burr's Monday morning podcast. It's kind of crazy. So come check it out. It's got a great chat. And I want to just thank Jeff for having me on. I know people wanted this for a long time, and a lot of people. And I know I'm kind of a smaller channel. But it says a lot about your character that you bring people on, and not just bring on people that could benefit you. And I think that's a good thing and what we need more on YouTube. So thank you.
Well, thank you for saying that. My whole thing is give the fans what they wanted. You were requested so many times, then you reached out, and we made this happen. So I'm glad to have you. Like I said, I want you to come back on the podcast. You and I are going to have a couple one-on-one discussions. So we'll be talking through email, and we'll make that happen.
Yeah, this was an orgy. We got to have a one-on-one session of love making.
Yeah.
And Pat, it was a pleasure having you, and the door for Geeks and Gamers is always open, man. So anytime you want to come on, just let me know. We'll line something up.
Hey, thanks, man. I'm a big fan, by the way. I watch all your guys' stuff, so it's awesome to be able to talk. It's kind of great. I've tried not to get starstruck a little bit. It's like it's cool to talk to you guys at once. It's like is this like a superheroes can only talk to other superheroes? That's how it feels. Like we all have to talk about how we hate Star Wars to understand each other. Like we're in a hall of justice. And my character looks like a loser video store clerk, but I feel like a real winner tonight. So thank you.
No problem, man.
Now, as Jeremy said, he's going to be live with Rebel Force Radio, but tomorrow night, well, actually tonight, I have a live patron hangout because today is the 10th anniversary of The Dark Knight. So our good friend Michael has requested a live watch party of The Dark Knight. So I'm going to be back on tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about The Dark Knight. It may get a little controversial. It may get awesome. Who knows? But if you have a chance, come check that out. Support Michael. He's a great dude. And if you love Batman, you know what to do. So
The Dark Knight is so great. I might just leave my own live show to come hang out with you guys because The Dark Knight is that great.
Hey, look, if your live show doesn't go as long as The Dark Knight, because you got to contact me, just jump on in. I'll send you the link and I'll give you a timestamp and you can jump right in the movie. So
it's one of my all-time favorites. So
basically, I won't even give you a timestamp. I'll say a line of dialogue and I expect you to know exactly where we are.
I will know exactly where you are.
But yeah, folks, I'll be back on the air in Jesus, like 7 hours and 15 minutes for Good Morning Pop Culture. So bring your questions for that because I'm going to be barely awake. But I want you guys to ask me the zaniest shit. Voorhees67, why are you all mean to Cecil? We're not. We love Cecil. We have him come on and sing duets with Doomcock. And believe me, there's no hate for Cecil on any of our channels. And finally, Bagel Goose says, give the fans what they want. Then where's Cecil? I know where Cecil is. He's hiding behind a fucking pastry talking shit to us.
And that's exactly right.
All right, High Recluse or Grimaldus. Oh, one more thing, Jeff. Get David Stewart on. He's one of the few who didn't like The Force Awakens in the beginning. You know what? David Stewart and I have actually spoken over email before. I need to get David Stewart on soon. I'm writing it down on the back of my
I don't want to cut in. I actually did a live stream with him about 2 hours, and it was great. And I was going to suggest that to you, and I forgot. David Stewart's amazing. He was a teacher, and he did lectures. He's very well spoken, very articulate guy. And he did a whole video on Rian Johnson's nihilism in The Last Jedi. That's great. And I had a 2-hour conversation with him, and we talked about Last Jedi in general, but we talked about storytelling in modern movies and what we didn't like about it. But I think he'd be great. So I'm throwing that out there too.
Do you have direct access to him?
Yes, we talk on a regular basis. We both follow each other on Twitter, and we talk.
Tell him to shoot me an email. I'll try to get him on next time the High Council is on World Class Bullshitters.
I will definitely do that. Yeah, because I think he would be amazing. He's a very funny guy and very smart guy.
Yeah, I've been watching this stuff. So, folks, it's 12:30. Dion has passed out. I wish his camera was on so you could listen to him or see him snore in his chair. Ethan is barely with it, and Jeremy's got some shit to do. So, Trencher 1375, David Stewart would be awesome. David Stewart will be awesome. We're going to get him on the show, and then you guys can keep requesting guests and appearances. It's all about you guys. It's what the High Council is. It's the best show on Tuesday night, or we just shoot the shit about Star Wars and entertainment and life. And we bring on your favorite guests. So this is me signing off. Come back for Good Morning Pop Culture. Don't miss The Dark Knight. Don't miss the Rebel Force Radio live stream. And, okay, sorry, Gojirify. How about the Chantrix commercial with Rey? Is that like a...
I don't even know what that is.
It's some kind of medicine commercial with Daisy Ridley, I guess.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it either, Gojirify, so I'll get off the air and I will check it out before I pass out because I'm not with it. So shout out to the over 1,000 people that stuck with us for all 3 hours. You guys are the real MVPs. And thank you. Come back for Good Morning Pop Culture.